I think the World Cup this year you do the business end.
Okay.
And I interview via Lamine Yamal Mundo Deportivo for the year. Bizarre say big boys now competition winning a form. Hurricane a form actually I think 6 goals. Ellingham actually 7 goals. Mbappe 7 goals. Messi the Mino Bakwa can 1 8 goals. Now for him we've not seen him. No say I had a group stage in round of 32 1 there. I feel he prepare. Now his big game is going to come. Supposedly trying to point to the fact that against Belgium, obviously from and just like the Haalands, the Mbappes, and of course Harry Kane, no, people will also see say oh no, Brent friend Lamine Yamal is good to go. Now up to 4 have done their work again. Now I'm gonna say out of the teams that can last 8 or World Cup, this is how it looks like. France with the highest possibility of winning the World Cup with 27.3%. Spain for 21.3%. Argentina, the defending champions, that was 17.3%. England 16.5%. Norway 6.6%. Switzerland 3.8%. Morocco 3.7%. And Belgium 3.6% as countries are a bit winning. Now in front of l'Equipe, it's clear. And when you look at the front page of l'Equipe, it tells a beautiful story. And he says it in French, and unto restore a meeting of history. And like I explained to you and now, most of the best from there, an example are you body. There was a chance to play for France. Omar Frem, he decided to switch quickly and went play for the Moroccan national team. Plus a host of other players, as I didn't know, most of them were born and grew up in the northern part of France. Even in the Moroccan team, there are boys that have lineages. Even in the French team, almost lineages to North Africa. So it's one of history. For him.
And so Obatenenka and ya di surprises kaka edi eremu edi ama yankasa yemia mienu ewa ha wamba beka ho na fe dwumadie yetumi edina ye fefe na eno so etimi aboye pa anti de tena no yema munyina kwaba adiba dwumadie so na yebedi World Cup nkobo kakra sisi no yenye remo semi final ansa and na US England woman in Norway and so ebebo na ahomate adiase nya Argentina woman in Switzerland woman game no and so ebetoja ni nyina ye 2 matches and e be preview e dia mam na ye hu teams I likely so mo so betima qualify akọ a semi final already another yenye o man ni de Belgium at Spain and no much mu two show ama womu entimi anti Spain advance eko womu enswedim and ye de another esia awo FIFA World Cup and pay ye de onkobo e de abrana after sa game no ana Matibu Courtois one ye goalkeeper Edema Belgium man de ababa to just sanka Belgium for ne baya adwene pa dia anke ho 1 year one that go post mu enfama Belgium man no essence ohia rest ezo timiti na home the way near Mexico no but onim se Belgium for ne baya adwene dia so on be granted dia and no be prefer se Belgium na set no obetu no one film anya hwe kwa fi ba ko ansa no be babaka Betimi aba ene ye Maktibu Kotoa enkoba ono so edi atu edwa ene ono nkwa Lamine Yamal a Spanish player and of course Barca player Abrante na kasa was it dia yede bo El Clasico no eno bi na France and Spain game our semi-final no and so ba betota and also aka che Kylian Mbappe say Mbappe say den team bia e betimi stop the France national team Homo Spain for the Bay Jubano na and so etimabu ani yadia eba ewo dwumadi so ene anopede yatena se de ebro transfer stories kakra wa ha ni nyina ne yede bebro ewo dwumadi so Manchester United goalkeeper Hana Spain for the shadow na anope yaba nkobo kakra ha yebeheda yedi hu nkobo kakra enso ejubade so since guso atese wo mudi omo nkobo na coach anyaba players no ha na ekọ metiti sa Leandro Garnacho omo se won beton ne ade ni nyina hu nkobo e ha yedi ni nyina edi bro we eni nsam kaye pi na yebeti our World Cup insensemo Ghana so ko World Cup yentimi hedan ko yanim run of 16 ana womu yiye film Colombia mano eka ya chimpre ana womu su eyiye film run 32 and 16 ni kwa den krofo na mayendu na yaba betoja so coach Aresan Carlos Queiroz adwuma no went be traso enya fama Ghana be 2 days ago ana enya videos a Carlos Queiroz ankasa adu to just abi aya gratitude ana no so after the World Cup and he says Aresan the www enya no krakra Ghana adwuma no de wabeye na fenso no etimi akodanim bet the big question many mabedwa for eba head na no pay say Carlos Queiroz adwuma no on the Black Stars ekoye ye ewo World Cup no we deserve say your man mandate and now say your man more years na fenso Ghana your football no oboa esepia am ye koye ni mana na aso yedema no betima ye say adwuma no edi amakana na ane yankoma menu mienu ene mabedwafo ye ba bedi hu nkomo anopei ewo the weekend additional free power sports so enko ba bia me dame ho aba me ba yetima to so edi ama wonim se football ane apomudin ana eko enti yakokulun Ghana Limited na yakodi nkomo tiawa edi aba yaba to adwumade so edi ama nko ba bia kulun for ebrenie ye no am nkodi nkomo na feso de na anopei no wo munso ewo edi maye no yetimi atwa so
pay anything call for there. They know that Sausha World Cup this say the quality of team Omukita and the fact that they can go on to go and win. This is a big opportunity for them to go in and then go and win. They will do everything possible to win this game and then qualify to the next of the competition. How do you think the game is going to pan out? Who is a bit more technical and as a more physical?
Physical. Yeah. Because so both teams are. It seems as a more unfinished business be.
Yeah.
Especially with the Moroccans. Because Omufu said this is the time as Omukachiri has there.
Yeah.
Look, France now Omufu so be to World Cup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now yes, show mo akwaye ni makwa to World Cup ni dia Achiri has in there. Over Africa there's a country called Morocco.
Yeah.
As a team coach now, I say, look, yeah, game now yeah kwakobono. And yet that African mentality oh baby I do now in the wood. You feel say yako semi-finals.
Yeah.
Akobo third place. And the yenko baby you want to do more. What I say? Yeah. That is a Nibra Morocco for the room game. So I think Emma game the Nibra no the intensity be abakosro. And quiet to say Portugal and Spain game no say now you more tactical, be a cautious, make mistake now. But consider, I think we be different. We be end to end.
Which Morocco won't have a chance for history, like you said.
Okay.
In the history of African nations or World Cup, almost penny country go back-to-back quarterfinals. 2021 quarterfinal, they are going to quarterfinal. And even also in the history of African football, almost penny the only country go 2 quarterfinals. So there is a one back-to-back and there is a one twice. Okay. No African country go 2 quarterfinals.
Say Yakubi. And I think Senegal,
yes,
right?
Senegal have also been there before. Plus the Moroccans. They have done it back to back. Obi ajimu skedi there. Okay. And then I will be say, hey, be a juma no the juma say continue.
South Africa quarter final.
Yeah.
It is so the next World Cup in the 2014 Brazil. At least with the intimian track the level.
So story again.
Answer.
Morocco want to say all or nothing. And I agree with them. Which for them it's a chance to be the first ever African country to do back-to-back semi-finals. And which if Uji won and then in the modern African game, country bear na all your confidence so it's call back-to-back semi-finals. And if they're able to do this history, it will take them very far. And look at the run of 2022 compared to the run of 2026. 0-0 on the first game. Only 2-0 against Belgium, 2-1 against Canada, 0-0 against Spain, almost free penalties, and almost share Portugal 1-0. Then in 2026, another game, draw first game, almost share 1-0 against Scotland, only 4-2 against Haiti, then 1-1 against the Dutch, 1 on penalties, 3-0 against the Canadians, then now they're in the quarterfinals against the French. And the big news is that Abati friend Ismail Siabari will not be able to play. And then the coach Mwabi say everyone is 100% fit except Saibari. This game comes too soon for him, but I hope he is not out for the rest of the competition. Rest of the competition is and pretty much press conference. Now our friend Ibrahim Diaz that was seated for them. For the French, when it comes to knockout football, World Cup, 10 games no, all perfect.
Okay.
The last time they lost in knockout football in a game was in penalties against the Argentines. It's a knockout football. See, do the end. They are the best. 2-0 the last time against Nigeria. 2018, almost winning 4-3 against Team Alfredo Argentina. 2018, Osha Uruguay 2-0, Osha Belgium 1-0, Osha Croatia 4-2 in the final. Then in 2022, 3-1. 2-1 against the English, 2-0 against the Moroccans, 3-0 against the Swiss, and Uncle Ball 1-0 in some game on ball. And it tells you 8 round of 16 matches, 8 wins for the French. At this point in time, I don't know, and I think it's a combination of two things: the experience of DJ Deschamps. One, and mind you, one of the first coaches that we need the World Cup as a player and also as a coach. For him to be able to have that vast experience and the use of the squad is so good enough, say be able to get all the success. The vibes are very good with France for the camp. And now, in fact, there was an image of Paul Abile Poba back home training ground, so I come rooms or hotel just to go and fraternize with the players. And Kylian Mbappe has now scored World Cup knockout goals. No player in history has scored more than him. 8 or say 11. Lionel Messi pen more in knockout games of World Cup. 8 or no 11. So he's so influential when it comes to the World Cup knockout matches or Bono, and that is exactly what it is.
That's what Ujitu said. Both teams and both countries now. The real test is net.
Yeah,
because it seems as though Bian games now are manageable.
Of course,
but way huge. I mean, this is a big gamer.
Yeah.
What Shana Feno say? Look, my arrival.
Exactly, of course. Quarterfinals and Lamine Yamal. That is where the real business starts. Who are class 8? There is a real possibility of winning. In 48, 40 coffee. 8. In that 8, if you can make your next 4, then you are the real guy. And the strength of the Paris Saint-Germain French team, Rich, I think hinges on the attack. The defense is susceptible to a lot of goals and chance creation. But say Udu anymore, the attack are Mukitano. And again, it's not just about the attack, but the usage of the team. And that is why for me, a lot of credit to Didier Deschamps. This is a coach 4 years ago, in a very compact team. Even in Russia 2018, so it was Matuidi, Rabiot, N'Golo Conte. Then at some point in time, Obeba Brenti Efreno, Paul Abile Pogba. Then up top, it was Giroud Mbappe or Mbappe Griezmann. It almost sitting deep, win the ball centrally. Then they use that long range passing ability of Paul Abile Pogba, Griezmann, to find the running of Brenti Efreno, Kylian Mbappe. And at age 18 also at the time, Mbappe tore down the World Cup. Then they came to Russia, they came to 2022, El Qatar, tweaked it a little bit, the same ideologies, but they tweaked it. This time, we realized that the attacking firepower is too good. So he is leveraging on the fact that Ousmane Dembele, the Ballon d'Or winner, very versatile. But we ball left, we ball right, we ball central. You are part of the team. We don't necessarily need a number 9. Play like you do at Paris Saint-Germain. Start centrally, but then move around. Then again, you look at Obi to say Michael Olise, who has said himself, so we starting ball no as a 10. But all Crystal Palace, he was used from the wide area because Obi said, I bet you a better chance. Now he goes to the wide area, buying a ball in the wide area. But in the French team, he operates centrally. To be but deeper, Beji Boni be 10. It is the squad profiling of DJ Deschamps. They use it of either Bakola or Desiree. Obi Timmy starting Mbappe, no again the front 3 way. Sometimes in the last game against Paraguay, because he knew that a big game it will be difficult to break down or add Bakola to the team. Then give this stretch here, no afraid either Desire do it and also afraid Badri Bakola say chief bra. Then he comes before so watch here. Anytime or yes answer Bibiano or the Ryan check he can. Because Ryan check has to be the central creator. Then he brings an extra with no one to two pass them and the runners not to create and then score goals. So I'm not surprised. Say Olise won 5 assists or competition him. Say Abente friend Badri Bakola 2 goals, 1 assist or competition. Mbappe 6 goals, 2 assists or competition him. And then of course Ousmane Dembele 4 goals, 2 assists or competition him. And a Desire Doué a winning penalty the last time. No so 2 goals or competition. So it tells you very very important players. Also Brahim Diaz for Morocco 4 assists in this competition. Now and according to L'Equipe, Thursday jeudi. This is the list of players. Yet it's a France from the best starting. Theo Hernandez again will sit on the bench. Then Lucadinho Beba with Saliba Upamecano and Abrante Feno Kunde. Then Manu Kone, which I think is the most unsung hero of France team. Abrante Feno Manu Kone of Roma.
That Rasta guy.
I'm telling you. Brilliant football. In fact, somebody came born against Norway. Last group game, you know, boy, and it was solid. Then on my last game, there were some issues to Chimeni, and I started every controlling of that midfield. Manu Kone was fantastic, and again, we expect to have Manu Kone and Adrian Rabiot. In go to country more Bonibio.
Oh no, more about Bakora. I'm on voting. I agree. We'll be bench Japan. I'm glad you walk up.
We're going to go to then Adrian Rabiot and of course Michael Olise, Mbappe decide the and Dembele likes them for them. For Morocco, the main change and it's Abrantia friend Sofiane Rahimi will come in for Abrantia, the friend Ismail Saibari. Then there is Belal El Kanous, Azedine Unai, and Ibrahim Diaz behind them. Media so open number 10 or Pedjuma Power will walk up with my Azedine Unai. He works so hard with and without the ball. Physically goes into a lot of battles. Ayub Bouadi from Lille on the right hand side of the double pivots. Then Unal Unayu also ball on him. Issa Diop, Chadi Raid, Ashraf Hakimi, the captain, and of course Nusar Nasari and Yashin Bono. Nasari has been very important to Morocco defensively. Very, very good.
Yeah, so hit him no bono.
Yeah, very, very, very good and I think that's Morocco are reaping a lot.
Yeah, ball.
Which say France the only mistake normal game near too physical and Morocco for the show.
Okay, it is a one I'm to move.
Yeah, too physical and yeah. If it comes down to just winning of duels and battles, the Moroccans will beat them. Okay. And you see, mentally, Morocco. But I know I'm memory. So France has to technically have to control the game. Okay. And tactically. And so we overload Morocco for we set the traps more. And that's one good thing I've seen with DJ Deschamps. In as much as a good side, like I said earlier, he's able to profile the team well, right, and he's able to get them in the right direction, which I think is very important. Which now that is what it is. I mean, run you through this quickly and then quick on the transfers now. It is your mom. Only is there injury time goals or World Cup 2026 pan the most injury time goals. You need 32 goals in injury time.
Africans and so many chess are goals in that. We become a chunk of it. Africans any of them are.
You cracking me, you know.
Senegal,
you know. One Senegal now also
Egypt, I just a Timmy crowd is a Dia Congo yebi and Keved and Suyebi. I mean, South African Suyebi.
2018 just next after
check goes papa.
Penalty shootout in the last 16. That is exactly how it looks like now. Official. Must sign a fit choice centre back. Andre Santos.
I love the caption.
So a fit choice.
The fit choice.
I says yeah, midfielders no. Lavia, Enzo.
I want to go down and play better player.
I say yeah, fit
Meaning
choice.
so Uba throw shit.
But he's a good player, but a fit choice. Say nature of the quality of midfielder. See your quality.
Fit choice.
A fit choice.
And when Manchester United first choice.
Oh, yeah, money. Say baby, I'm glad.
Oh, and then it's normal. You see, around the move na nyama mienu.
Yeah.
It's either say Manchester United are attractive big players or ebia United also as a club few say, look, maybe twemu ay ko to big players be with sika kese ombo ntimi anya hwe.
But that is the truth, the most.
Hojland, Onana.
Yeah.
Ombo ntimi anya hwe.
Ugati.
Aha. Hwembuamu no me ade omo buy with sika kaka de confirm. They are playing so well.
The truth of the matter is that there is no point paying 100 million for Tonali and 85 million for Matheus Fernandes when you have Champions League football. No one must play under 300,000 pounds a week. You don't do that. And United will problem with Marcus Rashford in terms of selling him because of the wages. Yeah. So if you can get Andre Santos for 50 million, Andre or Chelsea, you also do 100 million, 100,000 car. Into Pejako 100,000 car. Okay. This is a boy you will play for a long time. And Andre is not a bad player. Me, I told you, I will keep Andre. But when you follow the conversation, Rich one, when you go for the free Brazil buy, Chelsea team Nankas said about just 13 starts. You had no loan on Nottingham Forest. You had no loan on Strasbourg. And I him. Yes, since last year somewhere in October. And then the agent on Russia as soon as Brazil for Brazil bar, they get a European agent. The European agent on one of Matheus Cunha Muninaso. And I'll catch and say, you want to call companies because Chelsea you don't play regularly. It's a club regularly. When United struggled to buy Matheus Fernandes, Sandro Tonali, they now went to them and told them, say, boy in the ball on him, and it is true, he knows how to play.
Oh, of course.
He's a good player.
Of course, husband.
And I got to Edison Santos, Naba, and a better friend of Kobe Maino. You would have to add somebody like him to the game. No, Cranny said he is not top. And ABR and then made for us to buy category 2. But if United wanted to buy Carlos Baleba for 100 million, I don't see how Baleba is a better player than Andre Santos. Yes, maybe say okay, say yes, or bench, but on bench because of Chelsea quality.
Sure.
Adrian can Enzo Nika said woman. Adrian can also bet na bench. Iti ya the young for 17 million, the Ababa J 50 million, Erika Krabe, and then you coach Abba. By a bro senior mama this is your 72 and I'm saying coach this is a shebre
now
one message I'm shebre there
okay Madrid is all kind of story no
oh Madrid wow domestic
Alonso
now this is the G League Carabao GFA Cup
Alonso
Jabi enye bakuno
tie
ni Alonso bakuno enye bakuno Alonso we Jabi Alonso
on the destiny no Germany and yes in England
ya kiamba ya bro the Enzo Maresca akoya for you of course now quickly just on Karim Adeyemi
Barcelona
Barca this is Barca for smart with Karim Adeyemi I can 1 year or less than 1 year.
Senior national team, the Blizzard of Ghana. Sir, Edin Komokakra, coach and the Carlos Choros. Papa Nya dia to just Wonya and resign. Na Wonya resign the Edumano, Jamfama Carlos Choros, Robetimi aye. Na Obayan Sua, and Yama Baina, Adabo Carlos Choros, Aman Dumano etimi every pair as a Ghana Black Stars head coach. Winning command me and no. And my baby Funinano, yeah, baby D and come Argentina, woman in Switzerland, game, and no Ahomati, Adiati, Quesiada, and then you made Norway, woman so and England, Anna Elbow, and here 2 matches the preview, na the other stories, no, Akaho at the amount. Already, Joseph Olotu, I am ready. I will touch the cardboard and also say yedi enkomo kakra. Joe, good morning.
Morning, Gabi.
Na empom to say
Nyame adom bibia boko na wonso e.
Oh nyame adom. Once ade a chinye nkwade a muje de frusane aketelema da bodwem de otimi say bibia ye. De aka ne nyame asem.
Nyame asem. That's right. Na Saturday Stars Yasinyaba.
Oh, of course.
Now also last week na me Nhyira. Because Black Stars for ball match new year. Now say me koye 102 na me Nhyira around. Ibe this sound common kakra because on say after Ghana ye play ye free competition you know. In Sembebre aba.
Yeah.
Concerning how we played, statistics no players no modern ball.
Yeah.
The fact say you're ball too defensive, yes, offensive, no, you're the best from your players, as well as the coach. Yes, the Carlos Quiroz or the Asamaba or the statement Abas, where Jaya Jumano, Afi Ujafubi Koshiano, a New York Abontin, so Afi Ujafusi would Nyaya. I
say gratitude, and no, I'm say any anti Kratana,
in the end,
any antias
here, which means say now the fact that on say news number Abontino.
Yeah.
Many networks covered it to mean say Carlos Quiroz has resigned.
Yeah.
It which means I was say cable networks now also much resign. Because after the confirmation from Carlos Quiroz, it means that Onyaya Jumano.
Yeah.
And until say GFA ever confirmation or communication say say in Airbano, we cannot assume say Carlos Quiroz is Jaya Jumano. Because for all you know, Ebia no no so no statements no or per se or play trick be.
Yeah.
But that trick, he's trying to pick the minds of Ghanaians to see what we will say or how we will react.
To in other words, or test the waters.
Exactly. There are so many meanings that we can read into it. But Gabi, to start our discussions for today, you agree with me, say World Cup no baby it is go hard or go home. Go hard or go home. Because and now we share Spain. Match or boy, and the way they managed to win the game in the dying embers. This competition, Ankasano, there's one thing that has become very peculiar. You are getting a lot of teams winning their games in the dying embers of the game. It's even say from 75th minute air call. On say Nancy Yano Moka say African teams be brave. The way now they concede late goals.
Yeah.
And so many people are saying say a African mentality. But the reason why I disagree and say it is just an issue of genuine coincidence. Say yenya African teams be free tournament or concede late goals sir. Yet they are show more film. Look at Belgium yesterday. They also considered a late goal. Belgium. Omu Senegal free mu. Share let's go. And the game no call extra time. And the last kick of the game, which was a penalty. Senegal free. And now we saw how Mikel Merino came from the bench and came to get that goal for Spain.
And now all Baba say this Mikel Merino for this tournament. And even Arsenal crow yes idea.
Of course.
We want to pema expect say Abrante to be changing name.
Yes.
And Tita mo banam say Mikel Merino ye started World Cup we. Obabia obe wan so in the man no ababeshe. Oh ya no ababeshe. So say Belgium for here you be wan say the same thing as Manu and see
crown obese practice on ko. And you saw he did the same thing against Portugal.
Yeah.
Look, Gabi, when you look at the tree very well, you realize that at the FIFA World Cup, only the big boys show up.
So, I know na minfam bisa question way.
Okay.
And so na show na say proper. Surprises BS na for
in
this World Cup. Yeah. Surprises BS and a team bi o ha. Ufi say at this stage, at least Esan could team qualify to the semi-final. And I say undo quarter final.
Okay.
Surprise BS and na they be one year win.
Look, I can answer that question in two ways.
Okay.
Gabi, the first one is that on say initially in the tournament we started, there were so many people who were of the view and the opinion say one share Portugal. There's a certain conspiracy. Say you say we are tournament in Portugal. To see Portugal go all the way to the final and win the trophy. But what have we seen? the Portugal that we have seen being coached has not really lived up to the expectation.
Okay.
Roberto Martinez, the way that people have spoken against him, say he is tactically inept. No, I think at this point, Obia Diatu, and on that note, it's not a surprise. So Portugal went to making all the way to even a semi-final. Gabi, the second way I'll answer that question is that at the World Cup at the highest stage, only the big boys show up. Into one when I'm making semi-final, no? France and Spain so far. Only the quarter final. There was a Morocco in there, which is not surprising.
Yeah.
Because Morocco in the last World Cup in Qatar,
of course,
was semi-final.
Yeah.
Until there was some making quarter final now. It is not a downgrade. To them, no, they will see it as an upgrade because Omu coach Walid Reguagui, no.
Yeah.
Ofiriwa Mohamed Beji Ejumano. He has not done any bad thing to the team. If for anything at all, he has helped them to maintain a certain image of themselves.
Yeah.
Both on the continental stage and on the global stage as well. Yenko Asieho, Belgium. Of course, Belgium, any US a boy in the round of 16. It was very clear, say, US didn't have that superiority to match the Belgians. And Belgium for no, the experience in Romelu Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne, Yuri Tielemans, Axel Witsel, Mutimi free bench by the game, no, the Catalarimo, that kind of quality, the US couldn't match it. But yesterday when they met Spain, they met a team very calculated, Luis de la Fuente. Look, I'm not so convinced with how Spain have played this tournament, Gabi, and that's the truth. No creme catcher.
Okay.
Michelle Spain Bobona, you would have expected them say, Nkomenya more chances, more goals. Look at a player like Lamine Yamal on the left. Lamine Yamal Katisima. You expect that the next thing you see is a goal. But in this tournament, Lamine Yamal was struggle kakra. Aside the fitness issues, you can see that he's not really himself. The way Ananka Lamine Yamal or Bomba Basuna or Nyabono left in China or Kati in Pana, Abia or cross and also shot on goal. You don't get that from Lamine Yamal in the World Cup. In Tubesha, Spain are struggling with goal scoring chances. It is not so clear cut for them, which is why Luis de la Fuente, no, I will credit him a lot because about coaching, he's able to look at the game now or the second half, no, and the sister game, no, and with players like Mikel Merino, you always get that advantage because Mikel Merino, utility player, or team free bench, or many positions on the park. But look at in 2 games. What free bench have share winning goal must pay for? So that is down to coaching. Gabi, look at France. France is a team that has all rounders in the team, especially the attack. Desiree Doué, Ousmane Dembele. Look at Kylian Mbappe making the rounds, look, making all the records in this tournament, scoring the goals. Nefer Michael Olise. In the first half, if you watch the French closely, they read the game, they study the opponent, then they try and get an opportunity to score and an opportunity to carve you open. When to be in yes first half now, second half of now about second half now, on print who's obey change. Social media show he is not in a hurry to make changes. He studies the game and he is able to utilize the individual brilliance of the players on the pitch to get the result. Into from nowhere. Michael Olise ama through pass in the left half spaces. That Kylian Mbappe free change no abebo pine 1 goal. Ousmane Dembele original box nechi or the left or the right. Obetime peja ball no pine 2 goals. Desiree Doué nso gina nchen ho. Ye uniform cry the body back la beba. Bradley Bakola nso ba ogina echi ho obetwen no odwane ora box no pine 3rd goal. So you look at France, their strategy they have to win is something that is down to the individual quality of the players.
And flan to the sense that Omo Kokano be a head name, some man Kone will be a starter.
Look at the whole tournament. We've not seen players like N'Golo Kante. Of course, when you need. But in terms of experience, in Kojian Fifinwa, that kind of solidity and understanding is there. Obetnya Shepakno, you make some runs, you do the box to box work. But Manu Kone has come into the game. And look, Gabi, to answer your question, there has been no surprise for me.
Okay.
No surprise. The surprise may come today. And you be sound come on. Look, of course, yesterday Spain did the job. But I think say at this point, no, when you look very closely at Spain and how they are moving forward. Omo next match omo nya hweye kakra. Because against France, we nya hweye kakra. Even Unai Simon make saves be. When you are playing against France, you can't have the luxury to make those saves. By the time you realize now France for no match and some why means obey saves. So I appreciate the fact that Louis de la Fuente has done so well. He has managed to coach the team. He has won certain games. But when you are playing against France, you don't have the luxury to make certain mistakes. Sideways passes now, you are not first half. No, sideways passes number. Because Ubesha game ni ya you saw players like Pau Kubasi come all the way from the back to the center circle trying to distribute the ball.
Yeah.
But that ball no come fin into Ebanesa sideways. Ebanesa sideways. That ball couldn't Lamine Yamal. No, so struggle. So in a game where Lamine Yamal is not able to get his day, the passes from the midfield from Rodri and Fabian Ruiz are not going through the channels. It means that Spain and that is one thing I'm seeing. Because Spain and Kasana from 2014 to 2026 they had no knockout wins in the World Cup. We saw how Morocco eliminated them in Qatar. That game was a game everybody thought that Spain should have won. But in the 2026 knockout rounds, of course, they have been able to win 3 knockout games. But in the game against France, that is where their biggest test will come. Gabi, for Belgium, this is the end of their golden generation. Saube Kaya, they had players like Eden Hazard. They had players like Romelu Lukaku, of course, I was still Okamoho. But Enrano, after the injury to Thibaut Courtois, that was when I realized that no, the game, I'm sure they cannot win it. Because there were key saves that Thibaut Courtois made in the game that kept the Belgians in the game. But Enrano, Ofrim said, Kim. I mean, who said no. One thing that the Belgians will lose this game to is the quality of goalkeeping. And then now, Sonny Lamens by, I thought that whatever he has done at Manchester United would be enough for him going into the goal post to be able to keep that solidity in goal. But it was just one thing, the lack of experience. At the highest level, Sonny Lamens end down Belgium. He has not kept for Belgium. It's routine save. I already say, "Ebia, you bomb on back na I was saying, "Kautimi somno." Oh yeah, it's also now no job on him na. Mikel Merino, free chiriba na pum. And that was what the Belgians lacked on the day. When Thibaut Courtois had done all the work, it looked like Sonny Lamens came to mess it up. And I think say Enrano, they would have really felt very sad. But of course, Rudy Garcia and now Okase, it was down to the quality on the day. On the day, when you look at the quality between the two sides now, even though Omunya, the Catalari, but when it mattered the most, there was a Spanish team that had quality all over, especially on the bench, and that is how they got that victory. I think at this point, no, you will see retirements to Kevin De Bruyne, who they have played their part, they have done so well. Of course, they weren't able to win anything for Belgium, but Belgium will forever be grateful to them and remember them. Say at least national team, no, almost 8 million Emma national team, no. So you can look at it, and now Mikel Oyarzabal and Daniel Mo. Even yesterday, when I looked at Lamine Yamal, now me cast me team. We say Lamine Yamal onyai pan kaon. Match the progress no. He would have wanted to move from that left or to that from that left to right and played in the middle. Because Gabi, etunya dina gola. Your lead batsman must be able to take advantage, carry the team on his shoulder, enter the box and get a goal to score. But Lamine Yamal, I understand. Because when you are playing in a World Cup match and your coach says play on the left or switch and play on the right, you cannot flout that rule and go and play in the middle. But of course, 7.8 wasn't a bad, rating for him. Match. I think the quality on Spain's side all over was what made the difference for them. Victory over Belgium. Now, so Osha, Spain, they have gone 36 games unbeaten, and the next match is against France. So would they be able to equal that record, international record of unbeaten games at Italy? Assetia tour, Italy were 37 games unbeaten, done within 2018 to 2021. Afe Spain into a racial conversation anymore. Can Spain do it? Because in the next game against France, no, I'm sure now quite very contentious. And I was saying they equal the record, or they would have messed it up. We live to see. But of course, we will see Kylian Mbappe and Lamine Yamal in that semi-final. Gabi, who do you think will win that semi-final? Quick one from you, then na atwaso.
But me no born na to be honest, outside now what kind of say na bedroom for da mean cancer maturity do more that experience players no, yeah. But say ya kill game at the armor bedroom no how many players to do that. But that's where our France
they have the killer instincts are there.
More players
more killers me say
my side so me I think France.
You think France will get it? Yeah. And you see what makes France very scary and they say Ryan Sheki will bench on your bimo. On crowd and say on it coach so.
Yeah.
Also another be bench for one person mama be there.
Once are remembering the same thing.
You get the point. Even players like that are not even playing.
Ngolo Kante
bench. Aya omo game no omo quarter final and you hu say Ujafo John Philippe Mateta cry free bench almost to bench
when you bimbo.
So you realize that Didier Deschamps no he's not in a rush to do so many things because when we say team
as I one change be
one or two changes
one tweak be pen no aye asa
and you see most of those changes will be in the defense and even that defensive setup. Look at the way they are able to maintain their composure throughout the game. You chef France now. Look, it is very difficult to put it against them. So Spain, and I think, and I agree with you very much when you say that. Of course, if Sir Luis de la Fuente ambassador game with a different strategy, I think France will be able to win. Gabi, answer any games. So I want to talk about some transfer stories, Kakra.
Okay.
Me need Real Madrid for sure. We are saying. Meaning the Real Madrid for sure we are saying.
Ada my damn beam.
Gabi, upon all the players that they have, upon all the players they can chase, almost have pay Michael Olise. And me mintias here. Because Michael Olise no. You and I know the kind of qualities Michael Olise has. And me know also himself is contracted to Bayern.
Yeah.
But as a Real Madrid or Madrid said they want to go in for players that they think they must be able to lay siege on them and bring them into their team. So they don't come over here Enzo Fernandez.
But sir Madrid adwuma no omo ya can say omo lifestyle no sa na omo dey Madrid enti enye wanwa.
But you see, it is time some teams are able to speak to them and tell them that no, you play now ocean or
okay.
And when you look at the story coming in from Spain, it looks like at this point Bayern Munich have told Real Madrid point blank, so we are not going to sell Michael Olise to you, because sometimes it becomes a psychological thing they play on the players. Because Onyaye Nadri say Opewa, who player no utimbe there, you will request for a transfer. And if your contract is not designed in such a way, say opt out, then you become disaffectionate to your club. And nobody can accommodate Enzo Fernandez. No. But at this point, you see how now all of those things have been dispelled. I'm not more attention to Michael Olise. So at this point, they have made it clear. Bayern Munich have made it clear to Real Madrid for say Michael Olise is a no-go area. And I think clubs need to step up to that more. And yes, sir. One player good terms. After Real Madrid is back questioning man, no more say one player.
But say when him say Madrid this one. Madrid is so big. To the extent that player bia die so. Now ya kaze. Ofa be enkodo mo bobo Ghana ha. Ofa 10. E di omudina. We obi abeka so bobo Madrid and answer Barcelona. E be dinzo obenya team akoda e bi ozo me dey bia mebo Chelsea. And answer bia me dey mekwa akobo Manchester United. Manchester you will get, Chelsea you will get. But a lot of them ebe to so either Barcelona and I say Real Madrid.
But the truth is that not every best player can play for Real Madrid.
Of course, that is true.
And my question is with approach na ya no mofa.
Okay.
If your approach is to get the player, negotiate with the player, and find out whether you can get the player into your team without affecting the player's relationship with the club, that's okay. But Oya almost starting as rumor. Na so mo ko kan kitwa bi. Na fe wo player no as a ultima ya wo de. Say Real Madrid for shame. Then that way it becomes a contention between the player and his current club. After me person me Real Madrid shame. I don't think that is the way to go.
But question about one person bizarre and what class on say. Madrid here Michael Olise na.
I don't think they need him now. Even if they will need him not now.
Okay.
There are times Madrid wants a player because on himself player be can team no ho and my team no yefe. So Real Madrid is always known to have the star players, right? And so who share the setup of the team with all of those players and my team no emunye ham kakra. Enti say who dey for say Michael Olise akoka Real Madrid for no. Anytime you see Michael Olise play for Real Madrid, you'll be happy to see Michael Olise play for Real Madrid. But Michael Olise for Bayern Munich right now, whatever he is doing is something that is very spectacular to all of us. He doesn't need to play for Real Madrid and say Michael Olise is a good player.
Okay.
Meaning said what he said here. So maybe not every player would have to end up at Real Madrid. Before we know that Real Madrid is Real Madrid. Real Madrid will continue to be Real Madrid even if they don't get players like Michael Olise. Meaning what he said here. Now look at Garnacho. Gabi, I don't know what the transfer policy of Chelsea is this time around, but Garnacho there, I think I agree. Because I mean, when you look at Garnacho by or by Chelsea, I really don't know what he has done so far. And who shared the way Xabi Alonso or by no machine training videos no machine was starting so it looks like he wants to take a different direction for the team. And the Andre Santos move free I could understand to some extent, or a young player, or you will not want to sell such a player because in the long-term vision of the club, he is one person who can be very crucial. But to sell him for £50 million and the profit margin at Chelsea for Ebenya from that sale, I think is a good deal. And say Omukase Omo Garnacho, I think it falls in line with the same idea. Garnacho is a young player. Okase about Chelsea and bad, I think he can improve. But at this point, we need players who can come and slot into the Chelsea setup and begin to make a difference. And I don't think Garnacho is that player. It's so bizarre. I don't commit the move because Garnacho as a player, even though I know so better developing, and he will need a manager who may not be so demanding of him. Xabi Alonso is that manager. And I think at this point, it is time for him to leave. Okay. Mohamed Salah and Soa. Saudi Arabia for say Sikana Obisana does too much. For which reason, it looks like it will be very difficult for him to make a deal over there. And so Oshe Mohamed Salah now, I was even thinking, say, he would have wanted to play still in maybe a league in Europe before he will make it to Saudi Arabia. Of course, he's in the twilight of his career. Baby, I do know. He hasn't committed to boss team bia. I wasn't impact maker in that team. At this point, he needs to go to Saudi Arabia, make more money, and live his life. But Sikana Obisano, it even looks like most of the Saudi Arabian teams are asking him to reduce that money. But as to say about reduce, that is the question now. But the Mohamed Salah I know, once he's able to still maintain his composure and play the football he's playing, I think Saudi Arabia also on Kobo. And you will have to lower his wage demands to be able to get a team to play over there. And I think, say, maybe in the coming days, we will hear something from Mohamed Salah's camper. You better say, maybe our team or Saudi Arabia to continue the work that he's doing over there. Now, Oshe Premier League Nuswa, so many deals going on, of course. Andre Santos will move from Chelsea to Manchester. But, did you think, say, moving to Manchester United for Andre Santos was a good one? Say, you bet me your team from Amanakubu.
But on say, player Nankasa also can you get it. Player Nankasa also can move now. Ebia a war and chain, send your beboa player no. And then Ayana Edina player no in the current club no relationship. A good we sit down. And I was at Chelsea so in the past, no matter players be United. We sit down, we Jojo near man in our okay, then let's do this move. What you say? When you're bad player, but at this moment, you know, we think that you're bonny and to
to compensate
you no.
Yeah.
Okay, with the Manchester there. The same as I saw about Chelsea.
Aye.
The euphoria, stadium, the vibe, everything, team no charisma, character. So I think that any bad. Messi man to koye. Juan Mata munyina koye. O munyina no me big players then. And you know any bad.
Because what is a Chelsea for no deal?
Oh no. Me dear me okay with it. Because when you two exceptional beer, oba course to try to be
skilled, but Ojinemo nke ye but
a normal player. I could be man who be no man.
That I get it. But Gabi, I'm very happy for Gideon Mensah.
Oh yes,
the World Cup, as we see it, it is always a stage for audition. You throw a national team, our World Cup now it becomes an audition stage for you to get a very good team to play. And I know, say, in the coming days, we will hear of more of the Black Stars players who get some good deals. Of course, but it's a killer Real Madrid for Shishano.
Yeah,
and we don't know the truth in that.
Yeah.
But I know
what I know is a Premier League clubs.
Shishano.
Yes.
So it's a good thing for the Ghana players. Say, Yabo World Cup, there have been standout performances that we have seen and we have noticed. Say, Ako Oyadie, and Gideon Mensah is one because Gideon Mensah did our signing with Cologne. I think it's a good move for him. To play Auxerre and they get relegated, a devastating news as a player. But if you are now Okobo World Cup no so and we saw what Gideon Mensah did during the World Cup. Amafo Bebre said their star players were Babin Senaya, Opoku and co. But when I look at the Black Stars currently, Gabi, one of the most improved players currently in the team, Gideon Mensah. In the past, Gideon Mensah was giving us a lot of stinkers. If
you want to ball create me fan and
all of them.
Yeah.
But in this tournament, the composure, the focus, the patience that he had in build-up play, the way Osi carry ball. Look, I think this is a good move for him. Of course, he will have to go and prove his point more over there, and then I think it will be good for him. Gabi, let's look at any games, in 10 terms, so that we look at how to move forward. And then England is coming up against Norway. Now, this is where I talk about the shock that can happen in the FIFA World Cup. Because you share Norway, Obi Bisa Omuse and commit me quarter final at this tournament. I don't think so. Because this is the first time Norway is coming back to the World Cup since 1998. And when you stay out of the World Cup for that long, there is that tendency of you to just want to play in the first round, in the group stage. If you're not around the 32 or round of 16, you are not. But look at the story of Norway. Look at how they have become very, very impactful in the tournament. Utilizing the skills of Odegaard mo, Erling Haaland mo, Alexander Sørloth mo, Antonio Nusa mo. They have been able to find a certain chemistry. That chemistry is working magic for them. The way I'm in Brazil for boy. Got that let go through Erling Haaland and Brazil was eliminated. The last time the World Cup was played in the USA, 1994, Brazil for the winning year. So when the perception had been drawn like that, the public thought that the Brazil that we have right now, with players like Neymar, who are still in the team, who may not necessarily be fit, but they have an impact in the team. So many people were expecting say Brazil will make it semi-final, but they got knocked out by a certain Norway. Look, Gabi, this game will be a very, very interesting one for a couple of reasons. Now, the person may do call tactical board soon 10, and I want to show you quickly how normally the Norwegians set up to frustrate their opponents. So, Usha Omo attack now, there's a certain Erling Haaland who normally operates just in and around the box. Then we have Antonio Nusa on the left half space, Alexander Sørloth on the right, then a Martin Odegaard within the lines. Then we have a Patrick Berger and a Sander Berger who are very instrumental in holding the play in the midfield. Now, omo fullbacks keep weight on the left and on the right with their central defenders playing right behind the central midfielders. The skill of Norway and say when they are in possession of the ball, now ball in left hand flank say a certain Martin Odegaard will drop into the channels and will be acting as a decoy. It is a Odegaard here. He will fall in between the lines and be looking at whoever has the ball, waiting for that pass. When you see Odegaard moving through the lines, or scanning, and that scan what he is doing is that he wants to make sure that he doesn't have so many markers on him. Otiminya Sabo now, what he will do is that he will let other players make decoy runs, creating spaces in the half space for players like Antonio Nusa and also Alexander Soloth. It is a match on the Cote d'Ivoire boy now. One thing they utilized to get that goal from Antonio Nusa was that Martin Odegaard enya abono. Then Odegaard was able to create that decoy run for Mola Wolf, creating space for Antonio Nusa. Then Antonio Nusa gets the ball just in the box. And Kelly Bono and the La Cote d'Ivoire for. So that is typically how Norway set up to play. And one of the biggest questions that England will be someone and then they say, how do we stop Erling Haaland? Because when you are able to use Martin Odegaard like that, the next person that you should be afraid of is Erling Haaland. Because Erling Haaland, no, because of the kind of skill and potential that he has, he doesn't struggle to score goals. Once you get an Odegaard who can do that work in between the lines for the Belgians, for the Norwegians, the only thing you need is to get Haaland in the right spaces. And Haaland in the right space, born if you right to, if you left to, once it gets to Erling Haaland in the box, he's a threat. So the thing about Pimo, so the nine left or right, the ball and in the back of the net. So that is one of the biggest questions that England would have to answer today. How do you stop Erling Haaland? How do you stop Martin Odegaard from coming in between the lines to come and pick the ball, create those decoy runs from the left and the right, and get the ball to Erling Haaland to score?
And after Brazil, and Norway, Vinicius Junior say, Erling Haaland, unya a go opportunity. One ball be obetimia tibiano. On one cassette to be making
to be critical out of that and put the ball at the back of the net.
And to Yaze, Obama passer, Obetimidia say, and answer Obabo born a fair Ediamano. The young yes, born about the cannon, born a bar on one cassette him to the born bear. Yeah, as an inti, I'm a Mopoyana or Branteria interview, no, or Cucutiano. So I think that one the fair idea, England for the SOM. So Bo England, of course,
and he understands the play. But another thing that Norway is so ever tries to answer is how do we stop Harry Kane? Because look at the two teams. The lead marksmen are the top players of their teams. Yasha Erling Haaland, how to stop Erling Haaland? After Harry Kane, how do you stop Harry Kane? I think the biggest test for England in this tournament was Omoni Mexico boy, you know. Azteca, no. Look, Gabi. When the English players finished playing that game, what was the most intense match you have played in your lifetime? They will tell you that it was that game that they played at the Azteca. Because when you take away the fact that they were playing in the home of the host nation in Mexico, the altitude at which they were playing, and the way I also almost bred with one man down, Thomas Tuchel will tell you that was one of the most challenging games he had to play.
Okay.
Because he had to utilize so many of his other strategies that he didn't even plan for that game with. So Harry Kane, if he's the leading marksman today again for the English, then the question is, forward, how then would they be able to create a lot of chances in the attack? And I'm very happy. Jude Bellingham would also be available, because in this tournament, it is only one player in Marcus Rashford, and I say England goes to Momo. The rest of the goals has been scored by either Jude Bellingham or Harry Kane, which means in this game, those two players are going to be very instrumental. But of course, there's a certain Anthony Gordon, there's a certain Bukayo Saka, who must also come to the party today. Now, Ushe Thomas Tuchel in his strategies are Yana Oyusua. I also often say that Thomas Tuchel is a very lucky manager, because at 2 years, he's able to look at his bench, he's able to bring on players, and he's able to get the results from them.
Okay, Rena Fesima Menafi Yansa and Traswo.
Mate. So today, you want to get Harry Kane in the box. But of course, you want to get a very good attacking setup by Bukayo Saka and Anthony Gordon from the left or from the right. So we share England on DR Congo for boy now. In that first half, the reason why they were very frustrated was because Marcus Rashford were left. He was bereft of ideas. When such players are frustrated 1, 2, 3, you don't get the best from them, because to them it looks like the game is slipping away, and it looks like they cannot bring back their composure if England will get anything from any game, no, they will have to make sure say on what attention span 100%. And also making sure say long passes to Anthony Gordon, Bukayo Saka, and those that will be feeding through Declan Rice and Elliot Anderson through the midfield through Jude Bellingham would have to be very, very incisive. And yes, sir, they will play the game and play the game and play the game. Once it's getting to the dying embers, there will be a certain Alexander Sørloth or Martin Odegaard or Sander Berge or Antonio Nusa who will find an Erling Haaland in the box through a counter attack, and that will be it 1-0. Norway will punish England. Gabi Thuram, this game will be very tight. But I think, say, England should be able to weather the storm. England should be able to beat Norway by 2-1. And I think, say, England will make the semi-final because Oshe Thomas Tuchel, I know the English media is always ready to pounce on him when he makes a mistake. Into no one can say him. So, or selected team to go and play in a very top game. He knows very well what is at stake. And I think today, with all the experiences that he has gathered so far through the group stage till now, I think he should be able to beat Norway. Gabi Thuram say, "And now coming here, McBerry biscuit predicted when coming we need you
2-0 no
2-1 no, and now Spain there.
Oh, okay.
Send me what. Na me wa Adriasi, me na madam for be na na enam. Agro stand na make say o masa in Spain we need 2-1. Spain we need 2-1. Me ni kran come be kan predicted win so just anka and then ka also be me McBerry biscuit nibi. But of course, let's see how today goes. I think England we need 2-1.
Okay. England we need 2-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Argentina ne used to be ball. Argentina ne Switzerland be ball. I think it's a cool job for Argentina. Okay. One thing Argentina for no be very worry of and they say almost like this tournament in the knockout phase no. Only Cape Verde boy no, it was 3-2 and that game was decided in extra time. Only Egypt boy no, it was 3-2 and that game had to drag to the dying embers before it was decided. It was sure they were scrappy wins. But and then Scaloni will want to win the game before it travels that long. Okay. And I think that is one thing I think Argentina will be able to beat Switzerland comfortably. Okay.
Just to made us pa na Tadaka board no what they are na yakwa hedi wa esi proud to them matches ba so Norway against England and afi Argentina against Switzerland. Austin Wood ewa ha Sarakate man ewa ha now kwa uko be how many years in 3 years in ana
oh baby ya hina mako nyemini wana wa
what's Wood
Gabi
good morning na empomu ye de
yankofo ne yamboafo Joshua nso obo adwuma emona baso so mu no na mafo no mu he you know ba say hey so you try you be ne de we dey attacking
e kosi sai no what dey here no
go say isika da so but obo no homode Joshua obo homode
okay Habib
was he
good morning.
Good morning.
Na empomu ye de
Alhamdulillah nyame
adum ye ho ye wona aja nananse na wonya fine but ne ya watima atwa fam de me say ye kakra ne sa
that you 100% fit but na ye chendra that's already team kasanko
ye de nyame ase
Lord has been merciful
ye de nyame ase so ye be so be katos ye wo anuanu mienu ene wo mu ba besra ye na yetimi atoa ye nkomo edie no so na Austin Wood mame answer same flow so answer na Habib Evremo what happened so far why you impressed the way is equal time I be sase the mindset man for nsema na omo keka fa ho afi visa issues by ye benya Donald Trump any Iran any ensensem bebre minim at this stage ya do team be surprise so far sana World Cup no.
Okay, me that say Gabi. For me, this is the first time World Cup a co-host of 3 countries. Obasha, the first co-host of a tournament the year 2000 Ghana and Nigeria a host to come 2000. But about World Cup on same year 2002 Japan and Korea. If I hear Nigerian said this time, you know, the back call 3 countries, you know, there were going to be challenges because teams need be move. And once America no 50 states into it say Ghana mako say 50. It is America say na 50 states in it say Ghana mako say 50. It is a ubo state be na say ube free ho akwa ball next game o be foforo a na say ube tu kwan pa. That is coming from the back say the last World Cup before this kata no and also your mind kiti bit say Kumasi kata ni nyina enti ubetime free asafo ye bobo oni bi wa stadium bi wa asafo na ukobo next game wo ebia ahonjo na o next game wakobo no ebia abu akwa ufri ahonjo kwa abu akwa no just about 45 minutes drive so motoke didi wani man it's na World Cup we na there are a lot of logistical challenges every teams you know and most of the teams they planned towards it. Example ye England Ghana so science you planning towards it say you be free ha kwa ha say ne besie enu bi na kofa even Thomas Partey so ensensem ne buy no. Now on the issue of visa no, this is what happened. You say America is the greatest nation in the world. The way FIFA catch Russia, say some be host World Cup na mo immigration mreni bi wo ho a mungu no. And say Russia go ni immigration mreni nyina mu o. Debi. But omo immigration mre bi wo ho a example na mimo say Gabi Thuram ebe free Kumasi. Aba behwe World Cup ni bi wo Russia ebia ye Russia for de ye mra ne kire se ye bebisa ne se wono de adwuma no ye typically se nye World Cup na wo behwe na opese otu kwan ko Russia o bebisa se o ba besra okay onzo wo ko interview ensem na ye bisa no wo yere ne ma o mu se okay na wo kwa wo besen aba visitors visa na tourist visa na wo pe ehun hihye ye nie eno bi na FIFA ka say ombaka say we a tourist na wo say yehu say we be a $3,000 e da account mu we adwuma ye tua wo kabusu ni bia sa ne o no ene de ye because obi be na adwene say me free Ghana qualify for World Cup e be born Russia me mesiesie me sika me ye adwuma wo Ghana no me do ntosu akoma dan obi antua meka mia na me pemi sika me domintos ana maton ana me se me pese me kohwe bi sai nipa no ka se onkofa ne bank statement e kire se bosumi bia wo ye adwuma ye tua ne kafa mu onya ma oni bi wo but Africa no sankofo no mu dontos wa akomadan no omo nso betumi akohwe World Cup ni bi eti Russia de mo beya ne se sai nipa no oba be pe visa sai ne o manu mungum ebiem ukokata untimi no monsa and in your maybe time be be World Cup ebi mu free a mind for so no continent for so a time difference no into a time maybe I walk at a than maybe almost no more you money because New York City no is a city that has no sleep. It is obi free New York ebe support to America now it's hard time we no o mani nya sa de na mungumu sa ni o mani ni agugu mu no we Russia no any kata no any World Cup ba bia America so ye bisa ba papa no reso no ansa na mo de mo World Cup be ba no wono no wakwa ko hye America fo ne bo ese nipa bebre and you see America has a peculiar issues with immigration na Russia ne kata ni sa ade ni bi. What did they make sure na say? America na say na World Cup ne beba ho no. Omo no the biggest problem wa America no. Say aman omo mu free aman afoforo so bo omo ho no. On pese omo teso. Etu ka say World Cup ni ntino. Ade omo no obi akwa me ato no so aba say so no no obeye no. World Cup ni nti wongum na nipa nyina amra eno de beye problem kakra.
Okay.
So eno na kofifa ansem ni bae. But with the African referee ni de no. We don't know the details, no, because the America for no so can say or ties to mambophobia ni sanyo man. Me, I am not seized with that information. You know, the America for any war. It's in a honor, but I thought say FIFA would have done all those background checks. FIFA would have spoken to the American government and the reasons in any way, you know, they would have put it across and can conquer problem. Now to the game. The biggest challenge for me is you expand the idea no call 48 no. Ama aman be branko muntimi ma baby enije wo ho but the quality no so ba form kakra
jana na
yeah the quality ne ba form kakra
okay.
Typically near first and second onya dia wo be kofie but look at the first time Portugal eje a major tournament
2016 there na
who so mu di third wo mu group
yeah
o di third and akokwasa nwanwa sa wo de koje cup and because of a 40 on se kane no a 32 no 2 obi anim ni o koshia no be ko ye 48 no Gabi na nye chaotic ma yesi obi be di third wo baby udi third ye be twen ansa na ye hu se wo koshia obi obedi first wo ha ba wo third no kra no wo se ye nya hu se third bi nso wo baby wo wan chen no me hu ni se sa ade ni nyina FIFA peso obi emu na football yes obi bobi bad sometimes no ye nso no so wo baby ayan kasa ye bobo ye qualifiers no Africa ye nso ne so ansa Asia for nso ne so ansa on do ya dia no afri baby a wo no de aba aye nyina ye be hia no
ntianke start here na quality na chance
because as an yaka dey ni 64 so ni 64 amai be bre so o mo ma bi da betimi aba ade ni enye no 128
eno kra bo mo dwere ho
eno na me problem no say ye di sika no nko achi a any advertisers sponsors no a hwe de o maye you know ye mo American tin o mo ye de o mo ye no mo peska because America sports no advert no mo ye ni sika te achiri on Super Bowl no mo bon
yeah
eya na nye game na nka say sport no na ma ehia o mu
sika na 30
no advert ba ko Super Bowl no ye na o ya advert 30 seconds what me to 200 million
wow
I say enipa 150 million ujidi tum say omo behwe saade no it would the advert ko to so exactly it enu bi basketball advert na wom breaks na wom no mo the advert nko a enu bi na FIFA person will introduce or say hydration breaks stadium aye boy mo the air condition a stadium ni nyina
oh okay
air condition was stadium ni nyina stadium na American air condition wo stadium ni nyina enso otompom mo say hydration breaks or we are na bododo enti abre enso to we are there bo am ko hydration it is all unim omo ye mistake be the first game say okwa America bebre nim say ye bo World Cup omo nim World Cup once mu
really
yes
like how
say America for 350 million no any stations ni nyina na eyi onye free to air
oh okay
say has no abaya to ninti wo de akọ free to air no but one say multi TV ya me movie free baby a ye wo typically aba terrestrial one na free to air de no ba ko America omo wo paid no na ehye enti enye free to air
okay
enti omo no so football no mo friend so kan enye omo first game enti omo no mfa ade na ekoso no ho enti advert na eba no omo yen hihye ye say advert ni ntia enye hydration break bia I'm telling you why advert ni hydration break ni 4 minutes ya catch TV stations ni nyina Telemundo Fox mu nyina say ma why you know advert no enhye mu pepepe
oh okay
it wala on say wo UK a omu 2 stations na yi ITV and BBC omu no eduru ha BBC for no because say omu nkoje advert omu de be hye sa time no enti no because say football no American kwa na ye de eduru ho no a omu ma former Chelsea Obana no ye coach na say Hayes so bi Emma Hayes omu be gina ho de ye tactical analysis ya mu ye bi sa 4 minutes no ai o de be gina tactical board ho no the 4 minutes no ball no baby aya about 25 minutes no wachira wo say Ghana omu number 8 ni efre ni sibo no onu ntina England fo no omu ntimi ntwetwe no yes analysis no nti omu mfa ni nyina anya advert na problem e see of Fox ni Telemundo ni say because na your first time no ye start match no omu nya omu advert ni nwie because omu so akwaji nkofo sika and advert no time ni so ye the ball ni start 15 seconds etu check here after first game no one say advert ni beba na fourth official no I catch referee ni say time ni nso ya wo be start time na nso na e die enti obeso kire say advert for ni nwie wo de kwa check after first game na Mexico and South Africa boy no games na to aso ni nyina no referee no fourth referee ni gina ho and ade ne hye na so and o ka che referee ni say even though say players na benum so awie o ma du aye no mo nyina ko gina ho twe say referee ni bebo aban no o ka che say time no nso ntwen time be ne nso ye it is an you many nyina na ma say the ye di boy echi yenim ye World Cup no sika FIFA ko di sika echi ama enti wa nso a it affects some of the teams. Momentum in football is very key. I just will be on the boy. Momentum is very key. And nothing a tactical foul.
Player Ben, I think England players Nibiana will be all kasa about hydration break, you know. Maybe if you play a crow. Or kasa about say I don't know who say you're fine. I'm about football. I'm not giving him flu.
Even former players,
yeah, because you see, momentum is key. Yasi will be. And now be dominating. Referee is 67 minutes now, so you ain't go 4 minutes in Samara. Obeba no momentum na teko.
Yes.
Which I agree. Na complaining about tactical foul na Pep Guardiola said that catch Rodri say wonye. Tactical foul no Gabi na ye. Foul bi any say foul but won say pressure wo no Pep Guardiola team no so. Was say that ye bibi. Na say Arsenal kro mo de ba tete achi. Was said that catch goalkeeper ne say pressure ba so won. Uchi ball na say dada ho. That time na wo di delay no. Team no wo ma pressure no. Omo anu bedwo abrase. Wo she da yes we pra enu na FIFA hu ya o introduce you say obi pra no okwa abonten a ebedi 1 minute ansa na yama na bam because the players ni she da ye tactical power she da yes we pra ni a stop game no na ni opponents ni momentum no wo no eni ho biem na FIFA say enti se wo pra na ye no kra ampa wo begina abonten ti won say Moise Caicedo ni bufu ye on mo first game no o say wo pese obam references dey bi wutimi mbam. And I can't talk 1 minute and so yeah, more be time to say they throw in so more 5 seconds now okay 1 2 1 so it is some of the things they introduce and the VAR no how they are using it in certain games, how certain games is not being used. Gabi, when him say Ghana and England no ye penalty no BBC commentators no o man kan ho asem mpo biased and VAR. I'm England. One who say we run is in a penalty. And they say a penalty Magana. I didn't call VAR. Yeah, who near to a ball now. So we say any big say no say Ghana players. You see, that is not how football should be played. What is the motto of FIFA?
Fair play.
Fair play. I just say yeah, come here. Menko referee so can say hey, come here. No, I don't need to do that. You VAR, you fourth referee, you assistant referee, and you referee. Omuna referee game, no. It is your terminate penalty. I don't know. Say me do referee. Me yes me pra. Emo musa ampa. And say na yaji ade ene di amami. Those are some of the challenges about World Cup. Now to the standard of play, the big boys have shown that they are big boys.
Okay.
France have shown it. Argentina, I think they are at the end of their,
era. No.
England. They were slow in the tournament, but as we are head their I know what they call but I still think they cannot do that to the end. Spain, almost see a lot of low blocks because you know Spain will dominate the passes and all that, and to be a defender against them. So I'm waiting. Say they would meet France. France no on your low block now end to end stuff. Number who said the more bono, but I still think Spain are very vulnerable. Apart from vulnerabilities, and the French team are the most compact and complete team now. Then no way for no. The omukuleyesi she omochi. Omukuleyesi ne Erling Haaland. You kuleyesi pa ne kuta no way for no. Because born as omo. But when the power pace ne said the no edin no. So we will see pushy Gabriel behede ball no. So they also have that and omu teamwork. No way for any teamwork, so they play as a team. If you even go and check third game, no money France boy, no. I was in 11 no. They were still playing as a team. They were still playing solidly as a team. Even though say a bench for one corner by no, they were still playing solidly. It's your teamwork, no. And you players in Erling Haaland, no, and Ebuan Norway. I see France edging out Spain.
Okay.
But you never know because France and so more born bia or more chire or more. He has to rely on the bench.
Yeah.
It won't be any bench if one. I want to about move to me about be. Will he still rely on one because it will be difficult say obey Olise Afrimu on what chire no. It's a better Desiree Douane, Bradley Bakolo, and obese almost but you to mean Mbappe and Frim. Won't mean change Olise. Ebi a Kylian Mbappe will still be there, but obe partner no with Jean-Philippe Mateta and I say Thuram B. So I'm looking at say omo chire omo so kwan be na manager no because already bench na no so your solid bench pa. Ngolo Kante brand 11
our bench.
Ngolo Kante keke ball.
Keke bi.
Nti obe dey no fit that into it. Argentina, I even don't think say no mbetumi ayi Switzerland e free musa.
Really?
Yes. That's what they have struggled. They struggled against Cape Verde. They struggled against Egypt.
Yeah.
And I think one of their group games. So they are not solid for me. And I believe Scaloni is getting things wrong. At the Intina, Omni Egypt, when game they done a basketball game end to end, the Messi, I got two right wing, I feel no money with no more creative chances.
It's Bonifrio.
But don't say on need.
Speed
sometimes also say no be na 2 year party no. What's a party in any boss two holding midfielders.
Yeah,
want me running midfield exactly.
Mm.
And sometimes coach you don't think I said here, but it's been a fair tournament. France are still favorites. England, the entire main geomuni say the injuries are becoming one too many.
Okay.
Because they needed Declan Rice to say at this stage of the tournament, but we are about close to 68 games this season. Also, he's playing through injury, same as Bukayo Saka. Entire Bellingham kwan and yantiti say Mark Guehi kwano injury be a shisha no ho. Imagine so injury now Ubabe Ellen Haaland.
I don't so
I know they wait and but still first are my favorite.
Austin Meda say Habib 2 matches in the family. Na fifi so mra na fi yendi Blasters coaching job no ho enkomo ye pa ye se Carlos Queiroz ye de adwuma man obetumi aya o say fifi o ade da bi say fifi o ade
ewi asena sa na ewi asiti
say
ye no we yi wa simple oba be obeba be ya
udi nkomo bi a men se dante ase na nya me nkomo ntimi mi ma no fi
oti ase
za
oti ase
okay
ntira muza so
so ye ni nkomo kakra 2 matches na eba so
ye wo games at hands ye be hwe anadwu ene ne matches so and from where I sit over here enyumre match ni bia the ultimate it's you in chain entertaining woman ultimate a ben night we be and I think that if you get that thing beside you ever
before so be said where the drana
my dear Drew now
you have been
known me for more than 10 years
like sir all of us all of us near master like how
it's been like that
prediction upon predictions matches. Yeah. And send you the same thing. Yeah. So mini had where dear Druby and
Rebecca said Spain for Timo Beshu go at your own Belgium and people there about that man and Belgium for you who but you see the thing is that we are students of the game and we research, we do a lot of research, we read, we understand. And then, if you have the free precedent, if you have the free experiences and then when you finish everything, are there Yankopon their chair ubia 1-to-1 family? The application of common sense. I've not been to law school before, but even lawyers will tell you, say all the assembly called before so we start assembly needing everything. The first thing is application of common sense. And I might not be a lawyer, but to be Nasama Udia Emrasam or Kansam Mitia with the common sense. No, I can say we maybe the nitty-gritties of the law do not mean him, but I can say few things are Emramu Kran thought Asumunia. So I know common sense no ever we are
the next thing that also instinct. If you believe in your instinct, say me kwesi me say me like me instinct catch me say we me ya and I'm really say be easy, stick to that.
Okay,
that has been my life principle. And I've received calls, text message, and bro be say me free so I say I'm from the future and I'm free future and come in ye if you na ye say tap me come ye to so me free future and come in ye but me free future me free higher.
Okay,
and you look at it from all angle, then you make a final decision from it, and that's it. Now back to Anumre match now. I think that no way this World Cup for me baby Oma Drew no. I never thought say no way be Drew.
Okay,
not to say me downplay what Ombet me achieve or tournament. And as about tournament, you sit down and look at teams now urban. History ekuta quality ekuta and then the tournament itself the omaye ewu so quantify is an yamani nyina level now no way adru. It's been years, 28 years Oma World Cup then now you could say and also no 25 you can say such a team about World Cup so free group stage Odru round 60, what's the name? 32 and 16. Achievement, they are okay. Omeko fie as in conform, we are proud. No way, mine will cherish effort now. Omabe putu. For our team, it's not too strong of a squad. I can say, oh, team way there, who be able so. Yes, they have individual quality. So if that is the case, you need a coach who blended those individual qualities with one or two established names now. Then or combine this uncle for now. So credit me for no way for more my because I think that this tournament say Omobeji, Amonji, Ombedru semi-finals and Omundru semi-finals. Baby, Omadru CCA, Omo coach, among coaches are Omaba tournament to Yasia, Mania J. Juma Omababe, because Mamma who say, with the little resources now on, so Unim Jumana Unim. Share qualification. No, Italy, and then we qualifying to the World Cup. But the qualifying matches, Nivia will lose a game. And I didn't know way for the qualifier. As a matter of fact, record the Italy first. Or born left, right, center. Italy a nation who do World Cup on Coma, Ubo Brazil, we only Germany in a tour. They've won it 4 times. It is such a nation only Nisha. Forget of Italy for form, saying recently World Cup win team in Kobe is true. But Nini now when no way baby or no free but no team by yes Edmund Ditioma. A show baby I know free and the no mama some baby and omo buy no omo invite pressure be ama omo
yeah
exactly
if say ekoye my fine
check interviews are Ellen Holland ne yeah ko boma jibi ano ko interview bu say no so there be Brazil for na omo win match because omo na omo team nti omo mbe shey omo ya de che omo yi pressure na free omo so enti me no ba be kontoko na me so be bomi ye we no wa bomi ase we
nsi but me go there news.
And that is what they've been using. A trigger, a tournament in the crank, and a pave way at the Amomo. Yes, the Champions League last season, we saw a team from Bodo Glimt. Yeah, who were Juma or Mobile Champions League, and then modern boy or modern, the MIA ball or more coaches, no, and no more playing board in Abaso, level any legacy or my build the Eddie Amomo. I didn't call so now no for one of the campaigns are no mukuta Bodo Glimt for any team no AS segment check on midfielders no there's one player for Bodo Glimt Patrick Beck. He was one of those squad now no mukuta Bodo team no Eddie Edman and Wababenya a solid partnership Eddie free that Sunderland for player Sunderbech and what they can sorry Fulham for or they can who finfi. Then they have the experience of Martin Odegaard. And I knew one, or Mato Charming, and Alexander Solot. They have a quality winger in Antonio Nusa. And but wingers on my tournament we ask ya or maybe prove point actually say dictate games at the man team no Anthony Nhyira is one of those players few individuals but well composed with a very fine manager on their bench and on the associate man at the so for me they've earned my respect the associate candidate form who be a from now to game now no even no way for now they've lost just a single game. That is one thing I'm out for. Game back no lose or tournament as I'm about saying deliberate you lose and you lose. It was the game they played against the French national team. No, more person more avoid the path from France and
yes, you have 5 players in more
bench 10 key players. Now France is trying to try the NSC. Onim dia no open. We and for a match I can or more draw mu. Was so be and all them including the almighty Brazil. Abedru stage na ujina internet. So we England now baby Siana. The game be a wabobia even the benchy players now when we they were able to score. French players now no more boss they had one goal. It tells you say out front no very potent. Defensively they suck in a lot of goals because match be omabobiano concede but they have the numbers or concede we are still at obession. Who England or tournament no teams are almost stretch on obre and so wait my the Edianya results the English team akwa Hurricane any Jude Bellingham and air drive home. Marcus Rashford start here and yet ufri bench bar no abeyade. Da Obama ba kono Anthony Gordon start here ono so enye ufri bench bar no abeyade. Uti enye ye na baba na ya show 3-4. I feel that bench score line. So that is one thing that Thomas Tuchel I say oye hu adwuma and the oye di tia Ghana na am ye hu say when he plays against team or a low block sider or finding it very difficult. And some former players any pandit ka reason dia uja afford any kupa ma move you know or just tournament you know ko obekwa akochirim when man just no could do fear still no obekwa akoyi those questions now so they have what it takes to win the game. Okay, but opponent ne enye just an opponent abeka say we me dey almost say gugu machi akwa konya results no for me where I sit any the game that you be and you mre no akwasi unless England for 8 minya bibia eye so special minya hu so omode amaya tournament we from group matches match 1 ebepem round 16 games no mabon adekron mi hu e just be omunya sa ade ne de mai. That is a situation where me hu Declan Rice mo say omu take responsibility ne kese. I only loved Thomas Tuchel on the last match, you know. How kunu mu ye de no or ye substitution e de Rice e call right back esesa ni play pattern opponent na ni ba no so na Kane that was I think DRC game no so na Hurricane atimi abenya side 2 goals na omudi ewi ni game. I want to see the master brain they say besin about into Bay and against Norway. And then it's a difficult game and travel beyond the 90. That's what I'm saying. It's a walk over and me pet say be corners because they lead us into the Argentine game and that's how I better. Okay. And Janus I better say we 9 o'clock we 1. Yeah. The about 19 we epco boy extra ni we the couple we na just a cut off there to baby nurse. Here now but trainer we not to us it's going to be difficult. Yeah, 2 teams in now put things out front. Omunyina we are actually nature than you too strong for me. My gain as the concert money. Your stones money boy England for Jordan Ben when you're in shed that you will be a Morosa Pickford home goalkeeper Benjamin Asari over him on any day. And shed that Benjamin Asari over Jordan Pickford geography. Okay, geography. Matthias, I was a 2-2 draw. 2-2 draw. Yeah, extra time or penalty decide. Quick one on Argentina and Fifi and to us over my Austin. I 100% on that game. Okay. So Argentina for and careful. Tournament 2 teams or more edaso tournament in ma lack be any edin bi enomodo or omo dam or ball papa bi Bianca in Spain near Argentina for. Okay. Omo nam tournament omo dam or ball who be say o mabo bibia convince you be edin and a do omo nam ho. E bi mo Argentina for a ball African Cup of Nations. Me I don't have I don't know team now support me I'm Portugal yenya African team DRC team share nti obi anya ne de no wo hye na aja no won hye no won ko nanim difficult another difficult game for the Argentine national team so omo nso eye bibi bro Cabo Verde ene na no Egypt game no so ombe wi adwuma no 90 minutes to 1
Okay.
So mutimi ebe adwuma so my omo easy. Because when you an African opposition or call hydration break in the bar, where Switzerland brain very active, and also my brightest sport of the tournament, Johan Monzambi out. Be more tournament, you know, on winning my heart, but unfortunately, plenty in your name when how much you win or take something out of Swiss for no or team.
Okay.
I think that there are no Emma Argentines, no Enya a slight. Away over them. So 2-1 in 90 minutes. If Argentina your money change the who against Egypt now, but Oman that one also travels to extra time.
Habib Medasi the special one. Mami mre fifi man for so. Mr. Santo Kwate. Good morning.
Good morning.
Na empo mi say.
Nyame ado.
Yeah, the nyame ase. Also family friend kakra na ya hwe na eja. Where be answer question.
I can say the message wo ni DM for 3 months ni onyi anu e di entia.
Message be
or see message be.
DM be
WhatsApp.
No see message be.
No see message o.
Wa da room message be. Or see message the can
na DM me
sa e bia so sani enya asem bia e kan e bia no so ye ndin so be ya no.
Enya da bia no enye for public consumption.
For
so say for public consumption. Public consumption can be abused so.
I can be so.
But yeah, public consumption. After your public. And I your public.
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 But mediator dem say me hu enya hwe. Because me no dey ask me see me so.
Be microphone to do microphone. I only do microphone and then you can be a mediator. And yes, I am mediator the doso.
And the crap. The crap. Go be mami ntie and 2 matches no na ye me di ya Ghana nkobo no.
Before that Spain I don't think they have what it takes to win the World Cup. And I was very confident say the Belgians were going to take them to at least extra time. Of course, but for Sani Lamé mistake of that game obviously should have traveled to extra time.
Okay.
And Oshe game Nibia at a point in time, Sir Louis de la Fuente on the bench now kofa on the quality neba. When he called on Mikel Merino, the Belgians called on Romelu Lukaku, almost the Alexis Salamikes back at some point in time and then held off our brand friend Kevin De Bruyne, put Charles Catalari on the wing, and the outlet was our brand friend Jeremy Doku. So it was a very, very good Belgian side that on any day they could have beaten the Spaniards, especially if Kevin De Bruyne was a little bit fit or if that substitution was done earlier. But again, Oshe Dewey, my brand friend, what's his name? Sani Lamé. Shots nearby was spilling it off. So no person watching the streets. So went to me and Chino spilling it off now. Mikel Merino.
Miscalculation. That's what
so yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, on the board to home, Mikel Merino and Merino obviously will get a job done. Now, a very interesting thing is that Mikel Merino, Papa, his name is Miguel Merino. He never played for the Spanish national team. Now, in the 1980s, for Celta Vigo, Nesa clubs that was Spain, he was a big boy. In fact, Okoko bought a European final in Stuttgart. So back 2 years ago in the Euros, Mikel Merino should go with Stuttgart against the Germans and then did celebration or corner flag celebration. Mikel Merino or Shego, he goes around the corner flag. His father had done it because he had scored a goal in Stuttgart. 40 years on Mikel Merino na buy the same goal in Stuttgart. Sort of ne papa earned the name of a player almost every time of bench Shego. And it looks as if that is the fold in which Mikel Merino so building a career for the Spanish national team. And Henry was one of them. Before that, he had done it against the Portuguese. Yeah. This time saying always lurking around the box, staying onside and waiting for our ball so now will spill over. And Henry he did exactly that. For me, the most important was the technique. How they place it born because he knew that Sani Lamé would come in big and open up his body. Yeah. But Obobo also in the corner and I say, and then the Spaniards got the win. Congratulations to them. But for me, in the game against the French, I'm very confident. Say it won't. Any Spain for the fans. I mean, Yamal said Spain, France for no worried because the team go home on my show. We'll see how that will go when the game happens. But I think that this tournament so far has proven Thomas Tuchel right.
Okay.
Only said before he went, he had a technical right back in Trent Alexander-Arnold, also Mefa a much more physical dominant player, or be a combative army. And I think that is what this tournament has come down to. And even for teams like France, that France game versus Paraguay, it was a game where it wasn't France's technical superiority and
that physics,
combativeness.
What they buy at the base here.
Yes, because it looks as if when Thomas Tuchel was planning the tournament, and as a coach, you will sit there and plan the tournaments. In fact, somewhere 2 or 3 months before the tournament, there was a write-up I read from The Sun. Ononi Anthony Barry, the assistant, actually. They are sat in a cafe in London for 2 hours planning the tournament. And when they come up tournament, a picture. So they feel like at this point, this is what can happen. And one of the main things I will say it will happen was that the tournament is going to be much more physical and combative than any other thing. And when Thomas Tuchel was quizzed, say Argentina one for some players Bianco, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, any other players, one for Manco. He mentioned said these are not the best 26 players in England war, but these are the best players who made me execute plan on all the Quackable World Cup. Okay. So for him, he agrees. Say as a number 10, as a half space controller, they are Daniel Momo here for Spain, no Mojibo on the half 10, Coco creative chance. Cole Palmer can do, Phil Foden can do. At right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold could have given them that range of passing or best spready playing when they go and get stuff. But even for the English, look at games on my ball from the knockout phases matches on my ball. Look at the game at the Azteca. When you go to the Azteca with Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, and they want to go and relax and play a technical player, they will beat you with intensity. They will beat you with physicality.
Yeah.
And then another make us say we are cherished. When you look at France or match on boy the last time, France for crown won a boy. They played on just on the last match on boy. France for last match on boy. They played against a team against the Moroccans.
Morocco,
the Moroccans were also very organized as the French, very physical as the French. Sometimes against a lower opponent, that's how person will beat you. You match them in that physicality. That is why sometimes Leeds United makes me free. Ellen Road, no Boston for no Chelsea 1-0. Because yeah, fine, you're a good technical team, but I miss many heading, and I'll win second balls. And football always comes down to the individual battles. Or right back versus number 7, or left back versus number 11, or number 6 versus the number 6, or number 5 versus the center forward. If you're able to win those battles, there is an intensity. The probability say that translates into the whole team winning its game, and that is why Thomas Tuchel has gotten it right as it stands now. In every game, they dug deep. So the game against Mexico, after the game, Harry Kane said we gave it all. Never is a crime.
Never is a
because at the Azteca, according to the sports and SI scientists, you need 2 weeks to acclimatize.
And if you born and Jude Bellingham crowd born that day,
so
who do this
as a player or acclimatize scientifically, it's impossible to acclimatize within that time that they were there. Okay. Plus, coming to a Mexican team, say the only team I sharing and they say so more money until you saw the press, you saw Junior Quinons constantly pressing and counter pressing to force the English there. But the English also came to the party with physicality and intensity. Say, we also take the game to them. Okay. And they did. From Jordan Pickford to everybody in the English team were up for it. The Norwegians have also had same this season. In the matches of Marlborough, there are times where Norway for him said they have quality, and truly they have quality from Antonio Nusa to Odegaard to Haaland himself to Solo. There is a real quality that can change games in their favor. But throughout the season, throughout this tournament, player was standing out for the Norwegian national team. For me, it's not Haaland. He has scored the goals, it's nice. But for me, it is Sandy Berge. Our park in Fifi. When you need somebody to win duels and then cover ground, every blade of grass, and Sandy Berge na Jumano. Together with Patrick Berge or Emma Modi, 2 of them have been phenomenal because Martin Odegaard crime and eco create chance and that is where you get the team. Then you go to players like Christian Alger from Brentford. Oh, you're fine. He will go at it with you. Apart from the France game, they didn't play that game. But everybody that he has played against has been successful. So it's a game where 2 teams are very organized. The Norwegians are very organized. From qualification till now, very organized side. Plus the English very organized. And again, in terms of game changers, And I've said it, once you are at par in terms of organization, combativeness, physicality, winning of duels, and what have you, then it comes down to the individual game changes. And that is the similarity of this game to the Morocco-France game. Because organization, has organized the same. Oshe, ball needs me drop your banechi. Then you have Mano Kone dropping back to come and defend, plus Dembele, Desire Duemo, working out on the flanks. But what really made the change in that game was the technical superiority of Mbappe and Dembele. Because when you take player for player, even the best Moroccan player in this tournament in Ismail Siabari was not on the field of play. So then Dembele could take the game by the scruff of its neck and change it. Same as Kylian Mbappe and Mbappe. So while I feel like this match, two teams that are very organized, it will come down to the game changers. Then who are the game changers of the English national team? Harry Kane. So if so, you're Harry Kane, the Norwegians have Erling Haaland, and he's also playing very well. And say Ushe go no share against the Brazilians, the first goal now, it was against a run of play for him. At some point in international, he was asked in the post-match press conference, and was say, as a player, he has to constantly learn how to disguise. And maybe CSN wants a ball on Mobi. By the time Gabriel Magalhaes, anybody also not so the disguise is very important. But there is a player in that team, English teamer, on only Erling Haaland have worked for at least the last 6 months. So he knows his methods. He knows certain things Erling Haaland will bring to the game in Magay, and Gay would have to have a full focus on him. And Spain for had the 2 centre backs and Lukaku by both of them were not focusing on Lukaku. Emerick Laporte had told Kubasi say Jai Lukaku ma meni en kokun bono. But si ye kuwa boni nya to ababefa. So every time Belgium for the ball long, Lukaku yes or copy man, na Laporte question as never out from na Kubasi afa. Okay. So he didn't get joy. And that is how today the 2 centre backs, they have to be very, very communicative. As you consider any Magay, understanding who must stay and who must go. Both of you cannot be drawn into the physical battle with Erling Haaland. And yes, Antonio Nuso will pass through. And yes, you will see that Patrick Bergman now will be making those late runs into the box and you are out of possession. Then they will hurt you. But for England, I think some more real quality to dominate that middle. Okay. Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham. In fact, Declan Rice ain't the best player to manipulate play. But again, it's about hard work. It's how much Declan is willing to cover every blade of grass. And I need to know about together with Elliot Anderson and I brought a friend Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham is a game changer. So seriously, when they need somebody to pop up from somewhere to get a goal for them, Jude will be the guy that will come again. I think the England team have gone through sometimes in tournaments the difficult times that you get through. Now you're able to progress through regardless. A bond stick you guys together. The good news also for the English, they say our Brentford friend resumes back, and then now training. So very, very likely say resumes best start here, but some match name. Argentina, for me, I won't be surprised if I'm matching from against the Swiss. Really? Argentina and Spain. Yesterday I said for Spain, I wasn't going to be surprised. In fact, I was very emphatic saying Spain will be free. And I know that for a lot of people, Argentina and Spain are likely to go out in the semi-finals. Okay. But I won't be surprised if Argentina goes out tonight. Okay. Against the Swiss. The bad thing about the Swiss is say, Gabi, there are times where they want to play, there are certain times they don't want to play. Or they are unable to play. The match is against Canada for one. They were very, very good. Then they turn it down and they score goals and then they win the game. That is the quality of the Swiss national team. But there are certain times that you can't trust them. And the reason India make us say, I won't be surprised the Swiss edge the Argentines tonight and they say, the Argentines give chances away. And I'll be mentioning it against Egypt, it happened. Against the game before them, I think Cabo Verde, it happened. Even in the group stage matches, Argentina, they gave things away. And for me, Usia a more organized side. That is where you make a problem. That is where the problem becomes big for you. The Swiss are very well organized. Plus, they have experienced players who can usher them to the various phases of the game. Because at certain points, match, the time behind the ADSL. Like in the 80th minute, when you do 2-0, I don't need to open up the play and make it basketball. Okay. The Amuni say make it take it a ball. No match change so. Not after the time they are winding it down, and that is what the Spaniards are good at. The Swiss national team would have to be very, very careful, especially when it comes to the center of the pitch, because Argentina for in our last game against Egypt moved away from what they've been playing all throughout the season to something Omobo in the last World Cup. In Tubeka in the last World Cup, they only had weight in Abrantia Inferno and Angel Di Maria. So they'll play a 4-4-2. But then Angel Di Maria, they wait remember. Sometimes when they want to open up and play, normally Julian Alvarez above a count. This time, the game against Egypt was a 4-4-2 with Messi and Abrantia and Julian Alvarez as the two top players. Then Leandro Paredes as a single 6, Enzo Fernandez and McAllister ahead of him. Then played Abrantia and Rodrigo Di Paul from the far side. Then blocking the wide areas. So say Egypt for the ball, they be free. They need to make sure against the Swiss they go in like that. Make the game physical, and then stay in it as long as possible. That is the only way Argentina for Ebetimi Ayajuma against the Swiss. Even if Argentina will go through, I don't think they'll be able to do it within regulation time. I think almost the match will be Remo. Your friend is saying extra time before they'll be able to finalize that.
Okay. Minimara say who could
your friend is saying and Barcelona for Juma with Karim Adeyemi.
22 million.
Yeah, and I think that is a very, very good purchase pass.
Okay.
Barcelona for Karim Adeyemi because of and Ajabi so buy your home picture be on it. I'm sure that in the course of the week we'll discuss how that will go. Your bet we booking code here, the coffee can see first one a BW6239B3E8. That's the first one. Second one a BW62398994F. Third one a BW62395170F. Fourth one a BW62393660E, and the last one a BW62391498.
Okay, Kofi meda say now yamna fie na yamna medi Black Stars enkomo na dia adapono so a mene mabedwafo anywhere wutie me yebedi hu nkomo yie pa. I say Ghana ko World Cup na ba. What is next? After the World Cup, yantimi anko yanim round of 32 anaja Colombia for say nyame anim ne omodin bona buru ya de no so ana omu yie di efiri mu. Now yebedu ya bebe pe na stories esase Carlos Queiroz or head coach Edema the senior national team what this statement Edema Bonte na statement the was started no aba bebe na ezu odabi papa no resign in the idea business na na eje edide etinima. Kopim say 2 days ago video bi ba ya wono ankala da bi o I appreciate na na say wo so gratitude after the tournament dia ono na adwene ye no ne dia wo feel say asoman ye betimi aboy football no eno wasem ana na ho ka nya de se wa resign na so the question na no pa me bi say say papa na resign why the best coach or the dark coach betimi aboa Black Stars ama your team na you feel say ejija no just I go back to your team in 2006 and then the best team yenya our history in the World Cup campaign 2010 there no you betimi the same team na and the big question ya ba baby sadene me no edi wonko but now so ye de aduma no so the man akade ban na ewo ho a ye didi ye pa say ebetimi ama Carlos Queiroz ayese aduma no edi amae asoman eno ye nsem a yedi eho enkomo na messa said the free Austin Wood so Austin Wood in fact the radio industry yaka the pioneers womo aduma womo ya teye pa ba na Ghana football womo nim ni yie pa Ghana o kan Austin Wood am say obi a wonim Austin Wood bia ni obedi atinye in fact you look at news ho ene ye Black Stars nsem ho that omo the legend pioneers are ye be ye kwa de senke ye nimpo se eja Yeah, baby, you know, Crampo, you see with my baby. In fact, then be on that. Ya boy, a woman didn't dear bet. Beto, and you'll be an anya da Aquenano. And you'll be an anya Saquenano.
William Gabi.
What's the wood? What's the wood? Why programs manager da? Why general manager? What's the wood? Why morning show? What's the wood or no? Yes, sports. Osiwuda one of your panelists at the you can say political talk show. Osiwuda entertainment. Now what you do know because na
additional element your home.
Dear na
identity your home. Unim Gabi.
Ba wa adwini so
mani na
ejo. Unim eno a metwedi na eba bitinam say. Hey, almost a double yard drink, better drink, no. Double news with difference. Surprise, young father, pound to Twadia there. What's wood? Yamuakwaba. Yamuakwaba.
First of all, coach need the uncle 13th August in the swan uncle. Oh, and I say, Hayana Mitanakasi Sika Kunyadi Empamun. Into coach no uncle. Na onko not because say Ghana ko World Cup near frame. World Cup 2026. Ghana ye modern bono. Any say the team netian. But ye drew ye na ani ahoden.
Okay.
Ya hoden ani round of 32 no. Enti me nyina no so nkase ye mfampam coach. Na say sika ko no ko South Africa ko ball draw na oba e metena sika je PJ say wonko. De na me gina so me si ball na me hwe no. Me she group stage now. Said your boy against Panama, England, Croatia. Me no problem with that. Because yeah, the team ni man just 2 months before the World Cup. About a little about 3 or so 2 friendly matches. Eti then I may expect you free no be defend find a goal 3 teams they qualify na qualify. Now against Colombia, Gabi. And now no pena me can wo Love FM say ma wo producers no ene wo data for no and check say in the history of the World Cup yabo knockout game a team bi person otika a wanya shot on target da
na obi si na atika
etina me say ye coach no yes a match no ene said you oye na mehu say omwaye enye firi na ya free mu no.
Okay.
Coach I show by 12 minutes to say 14th minute. Now we chase the game. Knockout. Uko ye show 3 a uko fie. Ye show 5 a uko fie. Ye show 1 a uko fie. Na sa match no. Ye pese ye tieka. Ye nya shot on target. 2. When you say the last 15 minutes no. Ye goalkeeper na ye 10 overs by 7. Ochi ball na ye tika ni ntinu abo asim na nkofo na asa aje nko bia ho na o masa aje akosi omo aso na o masa attack ye wan nke won kan kire keeper no how tactically indisciplined Semenyo was in the last 20 minutes of the game. Obi a play as a left wing player and once on in nam front one no akoda because Jordan Nhyira ne hu nyina box ni na Semenyo ni na musa de na ye coach ne ye fa ho. Nti ono no de onko enye ono na di Ghana be koye nim omwaye Gabi me ka die we enne 11th July said de me ka sika akono de no me say Carlos Gross omwaye unim say Egypt for no ya fa no mo sere am say coach we ba Egypt wo defense nko onya se musuma sa akwa no nti ono de any time no so a onko 4 months no de wabegi skani bia onko me say omwaye now Gabi okay 2006 ni 2010 team no ene me pese me chire mu pa no bia ni hu ba bia ye free ba papa unse kane no na aban ene yi GF president o aban ne yi GF president eti Alhaji Jawula aban ne yi no chama Rollins ana president Rollins ne yi no owura Ben Kofi president Kufuor ne fa no Nyahota Makulu president Kufuor ne fa no eti kane no na eye aban ene yi GF president na GF vice president no Gal Kafuor edi naba enti kwasi nyantachi no ga akafo na de ne baaye e no obeye nyawota makulu no vice president awo GFA enti omka se ye betu nyawo se banche no so se ga akafo ni na tu no abra na nyawo wo se nyawo de enti ne de ne baaye oru akofo baaye no e no kofa oru Benkofi wo se no oru Benkofi apart from so blaster coach tete no say good football administration no akọ Zimbabwe akoye omu football amomo ene kofa ne baaye so omeye but because of how an demeanor te so okasakra owu no na ga akafo no wo se football fo no omde omsika shem no omo fa ne so ode asem bakra omse omo mpene oru Benkofi ne ka say ode 5-year development plan ba yemfanye ye football na ade a wo hu ne say yentimi progress ye youth players no emfa ma Black Star na wono ne ye ni hwehwe mu no ya na players no mu bro 17 na ye de omo kono so enti ye introduce bibia ye di correct age ne beko na omo progress saa na football for no authority ano o di bibia ba na football galka ni saa football for no division 1 for no asori atia no ofiri wono no oru akofo se onko fa oru anyahota makulu oso oru anyahota makulu eba politics ma wache pa o kumi preko no MPP o ye panyini wo mu pa kumi preko na GD 95 no o kan no mo organize oni na na do danko akufo do ni Tarzan mo ena oru akofo kofa no based on the na mo de anyahota makulu Benkofi no on say has renaissance na ba o 89 no oru anyahota makulu na de ba yo opam has players mpanyifo ni nyina ekofa musical off no shamoko emu baaye no ono a na otamaklo na de baaye ona pe pam has mpanyifo ni nyina 89 no kofa musical youth fo no baaye ana shamoko emu ka ho no a omo baaye be ma has e baaye na yi no eti no say okay ne ekofa ne bade a ga kafo ni ntimi mfa no so ono so baaye no yes o de saa ade ne beba no na football fo no sorry tia no eno na ma ga ka panyini bi ekoka se nyaho ye betu ni se banchi wo radio so ana saa de ne nam radio so no ena omutu no ne chese kwesi nyantachi no a oye vice no aba be ye acting president na de ora kwesi nyantachi hu se ne ekọ no ena in 2007 omuko register GFA no as a limited company by guarantee enti GFA no eye omudia o etise multimedia sana GFA ne tie etu ko register ne saa no ne je se no omo ba ba di omo ho eye de omo ye but o she Benkofi ade na ode baaye na wo ka 2006 owura atuko efiu ade bi si ye started professional football 93 no ye players ne started kwa aburuchire but na local players nso enti ye ko tournament on se Buake disaster ye 84 ye G 82 no 82 Ghana J e wo Libya no 84 na ye de ma coach Afrane no eno ne ye ko Cote d'Ivoire a ye friend Buake disaster na ye say coach Afrane de left for nko an akobobo no ama ye free mu no aha eti 84 e ye Buake disaster ye Afcon ye ko ye ne defending champions ye free mu first round. Yes, if you are the left, let's say okay, is our left. 88 young qualify, 86 young qualify, 88 young qualify, 90 yenimniesi Algeria, and then 92 ye ne Cote d'Ivoire kobo penalty 11-12 no, and then 94 Rashidi Yakini mu ye free mu no, ano na Kalusha Bwala mu omu fa new team after omu hu ye no, ekọ final omu ne Nigeria no, 96 no. Ye ko semi final South Africa 98 and your first game ye share Tunisia and ye lose ye 2 games no ni mombe wake no Odama Ashanti Gold or Boasi Gold Face Togo ye ntimi anhye no and abedidi na football ba wie ye etine chese sa team na 92 omaboa ya no na oma ayi ba wie ye and ye be host 2 can 2000 na maminka sembinchiro ye ko Ecuador 95 no under 17 no multi system coach Samade unim say ye bedru Ghana na ye J Cup no Audu Isaka Emmanuel Bentel mu team no omu bisa coach Samade and o say team na ye de ko ye no the obeya dear free mu pa no wa mo tournament ni bi da omu bisa ne se ho ya Steven Apia only Steven Apia okọ Ecuador 95 o awudi saka mu de no okọ bi eti ye be build this team no ene ye di omu maka wo abedi siki akono be ye captain e de bo Ghana 2000 no ena South Africa be ye free kuma se abonga no vete no abere think like red card no free mu esi ye no ene ye de Black Star emma coach Atukwu Efio na coach Atukwu Efio no wo de akwa under 1799 wo New Zealand ye goalkeeper Emmanuel Banahene Lawrence Kenya Ibrahim Razak Kwakudua de no bokotoko no Steve Oduro Ibrahim Atiku satem na ese ebo number 5 ese ne 730 na nebo 4 and 5 under 17 no nti ese one start ball as midfielder no obo number 5 ma Ghana under 17 no Nathaniel Lamte Bernard Mbote ena Ismailado ena Steve Oduro ye de Black Star ma Atukwu Efio no under 20 no ena ekodi na Afrane ho ekodi na Afrane ho ne ye kwa African Cup under 20 ena Atukwu Efio ebo World Cup 2002 qualifier against Liberia ewa Accra ena Christopher Rie any president no George Weah ebe she 3-1 ewa Accra ena Atukwu Efio say eye foreign based players no from omumu ade omunya ade enti on from mu biem ede eno ne ma ode ha team no plus Lawrence Ejay ekobo Nigeria wa Accra ne ye 0-0 no na sa match ni bekoso no na coach Afrani di ni team no ewo African Cup no ena Atukwu Efio ka kire GF say omunkofa house fo makomako 3 na was under 20 ni no emre no no fa meka house team ni ho fanhia Nigeria Stella Steven Tete ena Ismailado ye ko World Cup under 20 no Argentina no Saviola mo de na omo share ena coach Afrani say on fa has players training nko because obi a wa prepare ni team dey go tournament na GF abeyi players 3 asem we go TB we he ena o say what the civil drone so ka ho because on make say we onu coach Afrani no eye kotokoni ena we has for 3 dey free mu because Gabi bisa won say ye ko Africa under 20 no civil drone come no a team of the tournament no ho ade ne ye ko World Cup ayemfa ne nko wa bisa won sa de we eno ne ma coach Afrani so di Steve Oduro kan ho wan kwa under 20 ni bi no ye ko ye no ena yesi ye ko bo midfield Adukwe Papo beka team ne ho John Pence who say John Pence no ye number 10 no obobro kuma Arsenal no obo number 10 Ghana League no ena ye de ko bo right back ena John Mensah ba mu Patrick Villas Sule Muntari Derek Boateng Razak Pimpon Belly di attack no because ya Ismailado e free mu Gabi ya build this team we ya ko final against Argentina ya the team na me wasam dodu or ko Mali 2002 and what the players ni bi kan ho eno na okofo ko say Jesse nye aye de pam ni free camp Isaac Boache go no Gabi sa team no ena boa ye eme ye ko ye first World Cup Ghana team players ayenya ni akwa World Cup da ye mu team from sa under 20 no John Mensah, Derek Boateng, Sule Muntari, John Pencil, Michael Essien. And you want to do a World Cup no? As I'm watching this TV appear mo beka ho no. Natures under 20 no, from under 17 no. Abuaya no ma progress di akwa your first World Cup. You call your first World Cup no, and the 2009 Bobo team no. Ekoji first under 20 World Cup Africa aje e wo Egypt. They there you. Jonathan Mensah, Rabiu Mohammed, Ajiman Bedu, Dominique Diya, Samuel Linkum. Eti ye di team ni ma Milo no. Aye ko African Cup e wa Angola no. Esi empra tournament no. Silva Pia ntimi anko bi. A lot of the big names no Muntari mu nyina no entimi. And as Milo fa under 24 na bobodi o makoje no. De da yu mu no opoku Ajiman mu. E di beka asamoaja ho. Ene ye ko final. Ene ye di sa team no so kan ho ade ko World Cup no. Ene ye ko quarter final. Sa nkofo na na bo ayen 2010 ye ko World Cup quarter final, 2012 African Cup ye ko semi final.
the Asamoah Gyan say the penalty against Zambia semi-final no. Zambia ko GA no. 2013 South Africa ne Burkina ye free mu no. Ye ko semi-final. 2015 ye ko final. The day you move now, Abra Esiamu under 20 Muntari mo free hono. The day you move under 20, this had the ever call final semi-final me you could do AFCON final. 2017, yes I call semi-final. Bisa I say, hey dey free hono. Yentimi group stage be also try and qualify. After the day you under 20 no, you under 20 be I dey bi.
David be yenya be am.
It Gabi yemi say I say, a mere coincidence ana. It cannot be. Now no, you go under 20 no na ya anya ade a on. Yem progressive players no. Ni akofa ba ku bi afrim no mo maka na yejeje o mo saa. Ni ene na mo pepe players. Because who pay players ye boni o. But if you don't work towards ade no one building with team no from the youth. When yes our players no are more together. I'm telling you, upa kone kofa mo have Renard no, upa kone kofa en ko bia. So baby adi me free nyina ye say upa so che say your problem ni a coaching issue, but a systematic way of doing exactly me say upa kone kofa Avram Grant on oba ya no be ye odi e call final no everyone you no na ejai so oko ubekwa kofa coach on ma wo ball ni nkwa animu abra ye mfa nhihye ye ngu akwa mu a ye be develop ye youth game no na players no mo bebo youth tournament no o mo be progress steadily aba be hye mu wo Black Star no eyen kakra Germany o mo 2004 o man team qualify ponko Euros o mo free mu ntem no mo ho chire o mo eye obi anwanwa say Germany under 21 for na kwaji Euro under 21 2009 no o mo na kwaji World Cup ne ma o mo 2014 enye goalkeeper man no no ya Sami Khedira, Mesut Ozil, Jerome Boateng, Thomas Müller. Gabi this one say eye den na sa under 21 for na no na kwaji World Cup ne ma o mo 2014 de ye no ye ni nam yempesi ye be ye football ni ye ni e dia build ye team no ye pe ready made yankofa haveren ukofa haveren na the players be dia bo amza enkomo we wenya be ye be koso edi entino mame nko Habibu so minim baby was in different there was the system no ana enrane enu nti na ma ye football na yesa minim Carlos Queiroz adwuma no ya de mana obetimi aye ana sa system clone na be mana feel Habib
I was he system they were on
any system aye the progressive players to the national team
na no ya adwun say best sir nso was think as na me hwendidi if we are not ready to change the ebe bia no emfa we ma when the so Sunday ma me we have no say and you say you see you will say ye say ne the ACCA at the end of the day NCA there are people that to about ayi wo mo maybe a ordin nkomo ni free akwa achiria 80s aba 90s abedu 2000s and say abedu baby gina say
na your football progression
that time. Now we were having people ready, say they want to do things this way to make sure say tomorrow becomes better than today. And that is if yes, then we can do it. If no, I'm sorry, me know how things are done in football ecosystem. And there are so many things you ask yourself questions. Aya na de ye me ya. Ewo ye nyina ye ho. When I say ye nyina ye ho people running football. I put myself in that bracket because I run football. Say you nim the right and I go see me tie say minimo. Now we nua, we am madamfo ana we am a boss. Me pe wa sempa me hu se wo ya de na ya me bo wabaso me hu se o ye de nya I should be bold enough to tell you say kwesi onua we de I think that den
yeah bros be hono so na ye ntanye no
the biggest problem of yen blacks to accept criticism say fifia hu abi was so abi the ndra we the nka ho ye ni say ya nka ebeboa enemy me I have one thing was uni me from titi eba BC ne obi a me ya adwuma pon frame abi na me tie wo Nhyira wa fire pa na wo ya ade pa na ma ka me da ase the other frame no be ka say oh ya ade pa but say me pa no ne de more than the obo ma ba so no unim de ntia me ja ba so bone nko no grow. You need to have people who will be there to be at your back and say dua ya wo free abasa we no so mu a ebebu we hu odene fa ye ni see. The biggest challenge I wo kuma ni say people now run the football. I cannot put everything on ABR administration head no down say keto krekwa say keto krekwa say he is a human on timi nyeni nyina. President Denti aya na ye boni di bebre eka bia yati kroma because one na Ghana man His Excellency John Dramani Mahama o man na koyi a yesi mampani Mahama an koyi a say yesi mampani Mahama ye dum light say President Mahama but ideally so nya admo easy ya na VR reason one but he supersedes the affairs of those things no na edit amount for akoto and say they should take charge enti anu nti na edru bebi a sobo na ekon. I sat in a meeting. Something happened. I was meeting him, and I was the one who raised that concern. Said, Mr. President, this, that, it's happening. I was grown woman, and some factors say, see, I was football.
The GFA meeting, yes. Now, okay.
And he looked in the face and said, my brother, what you just mentioned. Ghana and I said, yes, Mr. President. I said, my brother, before man and God, I don't know. But I take full responsibility. So let me apologize on this, that, because I have people have put in trust in. Maybe BBC and they are sure almost. And it's not everything that will come to my notice. And are they we are I have never heard of it. Kofono me in charge no emo so nkyere me and I'm surprised say o kan omote ha and o ma gie tum say indeed is. So what it means is that there are some of the things if you're prompting attention now say you're trying to it could be done differently, but all of us want to praise and upon my platform. So I had a call 2 days ago from Efi Penibi, and the person said this, that. Continue say me time will be and I will be me do nipa. Asem na me time asem. GFA ya de na ya me bona baso 100%. Omo ye de nya I will criticize. I will not insult. I wasn't trained to come and insult people on radio. Enti say manipa ni hu say eti say that person oba appreciate what kwesi aka no kre na kire me fifi aka no kre na kire me ye ni see ya is the interest of Ghana football where Ghana ni bia ni ho a because let me say it on this biggest platform Ghana ni bia ni ho a ope football e wo kuma yi e chen kitokreku ni ngofo no mo ye we no do you know why ana ye ko World Cup no fi you ko America ni bi because you ko bi me ko bi kitokreku edu American embassy a GFA president onko we obeko nti between me and enemy no wan abo no open yi ono na di so mfaso kese bibi ba omo na eye nti they benefit more than any other footballers we ni match na aside send any age no bonus ni we all supporter how dey nje ka oji win bonus ni bi they won't win no more than us just that se niema bi antutu se dey se atutu na ye nya dey ye pe no. And that is one thing I will say. The people are around the football. So it is not everybody who criticize what you're doing and the time. If you are not able to differentiate between constructive criticism and hatred, you end up putting all of them in one basket. It is some bar, that's uncle for no basket because you've put in them in a certain way. I wouldn't say where would they omo ye me enemies and also omo ye matamfo no asam na nipa ne kan aba wo mu pa but you not even pay attention.
So they are okay. They are in corresponding to Sekaros Kuros bit my head.
Me can't abisi asem so.
Okay.
Keto Krekuba fa the Ghana Football Association as Penia Odano for 7 years, echo 8 years. Adia ba ko onya adia wo ho. Black Stars na appointing correct head coach for Black Stars.
Within 3 minutes in part of you, mommy.
On for coach Papa ma Black Stars. The administration. On for coach abaka say coach we die. The only time I mo try is on for coach Papa no. The on for curious.
Okay.
And also I was against the appointment because baby ani ejina no anytime on pa moto adon me say na here a coach or for a short term.
Okay.
Na ham no na si dada. Walk up near nkwaye ti no say ye the right thing the to na coach krono obeba no onyu so walk up na financial project na say damn the consequence the BCBR no he built from that we know the atwas at baba born in Africa. He's saying we are now going back to square one because when yes you pay a different coach can still say man into us. There is no way the man be man ubusa me question na ubusa na me ya no dia mo on deserve say the man man
adenti
and I didn't why I say the Black Stars man about 4 matches Panama happen with team share no yeah history yanko World Cup my team omo bravo football mu World Cup na sen share da e bin see that 5 times I World Cup go and check your history enti ye do to ado kra na call World Cup na standing ke be Panama e bi England na nko ntime mo dro nti oba Panama na nke be som o to ado anse Korea 2021 na mu revi omo nya ade se Panama fo o to ado share omo there was nowhere na Panama be team nia but the numpo hwe brebre anagana e bobo atia Panama na ye bo defensive game we am nso near defend this last minute and nyame ama in chikonya as go no e bedru England and ye ho odi nyina be ball defensive we last match Croatia ready ye e drew knockout we said na Australia na obi a opesa we should go no abobo 90 minutes wa mo we a opesa hu say the entia curious and say the adwuma ne mana kutie Jordan Ayew after match in the interview on ye bra pa ni Gary Smith letie ye center back even say Jerome Opoku and Gary Smith utie wi a eno nko sa 2 interviews sum up everything the players na nkasa kro hu Carlos Cruz man is not the right man for the Black Stars job
don't mean
tie say ye ko abontia ko pe coach nso a ye pe coach one time premium once and for all
okay
ye for man in for man ya ye matra ma ko for 7 years our Black Stars so check it coaches are for
Fifi Manfred bra na me ye hwe na ye ntika kran to achi mfama ye collect no na ye nye prediction win no Carlos Kuros ye man entraso obetimi aye adwuma no obetimi aboaye
for me I think the Black Stars no, for us to be successful right different Nioma and a Becky Casey and Yamaya successful. Now, maybe one of the very things that you're overlooking is the issue of transitioning. But you see, yeah, Kasaba coach and Austin Kasimbi about how now we're unable to move the players on 17 or 21 those days. Now I think say Saudi no be difficult or impossible to do.
Okay.
Because the top players by age 16 now go out of the country. And it's a under 17 tournaments we are teams now Europe no be him because of economic reasons. Because of course bread and butter issues. So Okabro now Okabro times are the ball under 17 qualifies, under 20 qualifies assignment. Usually it doesn't correspond to the regular international breaks. Okay. So most of the clubs will not leave them to come and play those qualifiers for it even to use them in the next competition. So 17 unyana, a bad is over the 21. But the 21 for me is the most important one. Players are being at age 21. There should be a system to keep them together, even if Omuni Ghana has it.
Okay.
Then you start calling them. And when they say you will pull for the spine of the Black Stars, and they say, whilst they are under 17, for 21, they are in your pool. into Ibako Black Stars. Maybe a Black Stars shall say, I no problem can crowd on goalkeeper. Me and goalkeeper man that steady or more. Then you take them small because it is going to be difficult for you to do a wholesale transitioning of under 17 to under 21 to the Black Stars in the modern game because of various calendars or more clubs in your plus the players on go could do some level now. Under 17 tournament looks like a tournament say the club they feel like Obabe Prada who takes care of him. So sometimes I want to chum because truly transitioning is very important. In 2009, when the Moroccans were beaten by the Cameroonians and qualifying for the 2010 World Cup, that is where King Mohamed Ivy decided that he was going to go on the trajectory that he has gone on now. And since that time, they scouted players. You see, one of the things we should do is that when we say GFA an elite scouting program or UK, it should be across the world.
Yeah, me who was
18,000 players.
Yeah, many papa.
The Morocco for at the time, they got 18,000 players.
Okay.
So 18,000 players. Then they built an account because when you scout, it doesn't end there. What scouting we are, not play it maybe it doesn't end there. But there are some of those players, not the Moroccans, after scouting those 18,000 players, they selected a number of them to come to Morocco. And on country academy, the players that is where Azedine Unai is free. Azedine Unai, that's where he's from. That's why Azedine Unai played for Morocco in the 70s. He's a diaspora boy, not in Morocco Krumo. He was scouted abroad, but he was scouted with the mentality of a boy under 17. There are certain boys somewhere under we can scout them for that purpose. Under 17, under 21, so that at least there is a core of players who have played in the national team for the juvenile side that transitions. But there is something that even in the past we are overlooking. Yeah, we speak about Ben Kofi, we speak about Atuko Efio. What is the similarity between them? Ben Kofi, Mune Atuko Efio, Mune Celestete Muninano. They had players that they knew. So there is also that coaching continuity.
Okay.
So I started coaching at 17. I say, okay, the next time I coach at 21. He knows those boys.
To him transition,
But today, in here football, it is difficult to have a coach that goes through the transitioning. Coach Bakwa or Tiana, the only coach today that is close to that,
Desmond Ofe.
Desmond Ofe, who has coached. It's important for us to even start bringing up young coaches. Young, I'm not saying about coach already 54. To no disrespect to Yaba Param. But it is time to start grooming young coaches. By the time a boy Eddie Bayer and go see where did Louis de la Fuente no free bar?
From under 17, 16 ranks
by
now,
the time
then
Louis de la
Fuente,
coach, he knows the only the dossier of Lamine Yamal, only the temperament, only son of a handle Lamine Yamal, only players thing in her. They had come through the directorate or who everyone directly come who information about him. So there's enough information to come and work with him. So once we think of players transitioning, it's important to look at coaching transitioning. And if the FA coaches they're free, the young coaches that me have said it that the reason why for me, in the context of the Black Stars and the successful nature of the national teams, I will never overlook the role of government. Whatever you're supposed to say. But any plan without the proper involvement of government, and you're dead on arrival. And see, in GFA, a private company limited by guarantee. Great. They are changing in our time of focus and say, and you and it's a GFA, just a club owner, just all your football people, because those people have a stake in it. Former footballers and all, and usually they are part of it. Into if you are one thing, for us, that's important. But what people have failed to know is that football is public good. And the idea be a public good in the Constitution of Ghana. The government of Ghana has a role to play in that. Because I had a constitution here, a bit me at the pub to Memufo, bit me at the morning swab to Memufo. It's regulate. That's how we ought to regulate the football. Okay. And until the European Union bet me as Shemra, Eriama UK, Eriama, I say, but you bring tells them that you can't buy a player from Africa 16 years. And in South America 16 years. Even in Europe, before a player goes pro, certain requirements in terms of education are supposed to fulfill. They were still going back to school. These are laws to make sure you protect the interest of the player going forward. It's very important. So the role of the government is important in all of this. But in the short term, I I will keep Carlos Queiroz not on tactical grounds.
Okay.
Me Kawahasi. I beg for Carlos Queiroz. Say, we brought Carlos Queiroz in because at the time, now Otuado no Ghana coach, and that's me mufobu. And Ghanaians are like, oh, Otuado nyadi, because President Mahama doesn't want any noise around the second term government. Into a friend and sports minister said, Jack, go there to Hamburg. Go and sack Otuado. Non-Kofi. Nienya non-Kofi for coaching. So you realize that the PR around Carlos Queiroz was that this evening, yes, you are coaching Madrid, that are coaching Manchester United, that or coaching Ronaldo, that or a top goal or a top coach, go to Portugal, crowning Germany, all of those things, or the Egypt AFCON semi-final. The conversation was about the headlines of the CV. But in any CV, you look at the details of the CV, and especially in football conversation, you look at things about structure, tactics, and what have you to make the conclusion. Because per the style of play of Carlos Queiroz, when you coach our fitting attacking quality, it's simplicity. And it was think actually said the Egyptians were laughing at us because Omar Mamouche would team him, Mohamed Salah would team him, and you're not looking at way to progress player. And now Belgium versus Spain. Belgium net die but defense because we need that quality to go toe to toe with the Spaniards.
Okay.
But they were outlets. I said, boy, they become Belgium for Nisa. They are looking for Jeremy Doku and then they run to go into space. But we didn't have outlets. Even go and look at Hussein Hassan for the Egyptians. There were two outlets. Hussein Hassan and a better friend man Shaw. Boy, they become himself FIFA. They control and carry the ball. They're from ball carriers. So that is a tactical plan. Even when you meet opponent or be superior to you. Tactically, Carlos Queiroz may have a good CV, but he's not a guy. But I sat here and I said when the Omar pointed Carlos Queiroz said, "Umi top coach," and it's Ghana for your pesa. At any point in time, they will begin to throw tantrums at the old guy. Who can say Panama match? You'll be seeing full Tuado and some. You see, but here we are now. Because in our analysis, in our understanding of a lot of things that goes on, I am myopic and skewed. The BS and your headlines. And you think a sports minister to me, I was Carlos Queiroz wait me the World Cup semi-final. Hey, Carlos Queiroz you go World Cup semi-final with this team. We are playing. Team World Cup semi-final, quarter final team run of 32. No, you're born 10 years commercial. Now how are you going to be the Colombians? The best would have straight a game to extra time. Me, now me bomb by never give them extra time. I come extra time. But don't be saying because how many training sessions has Queiroz had? What has been the plan for the team? Only the coach to get the best out who a team see perish the issues of Kamading Sulemana, Fatah Ushaku, Antoine Semenyo, Jordan Ayew, Prince Edukovna, this boy that came from Saint Etienne, Augustin Boachi. Kudus Beba. Then you have, if I say Kofi Tre AFA not started, you have Thomas Tepatemo. Then you look for proper DMs in the middle, Calibre Nchi. This team is a team that competes. Take the Moroccan national team, Take Ayub Boadi. Ayub Boadi, new players who will be, I'm telling you today. We like waffling around players that put up a good game near upon. Ayub Boadi, when he met Manu Kone, went to Yamobono. But who is Manu Kone? Ayub Boadi, Bono Bo Lil no, and a top player and catching and Kenya World Cup no. Ayub Boadi is another Matteo Gendizi, okay Gendizi for Arsenal.
Yes.
Recycling and Kojano Atwenya Kosai but he works hard, and that is his credit. To give it to him. For me, is the Unai guy no 150 on Ayub Boadi board. Unai. And yes, there's another Unai L something Unai. Ono Borom Obroma. Ono a midfield partner of Manu Kone. El Roma. He's a real player. These are not exceptional. As a Unai, Eboma Giruna co-relegation was Spanish Liga Bobeng. They do Unai, but then your friend is saying, was it West Ham United at some point in time? These are not exceptional players. It's a coach that has knitted them together in a structure with specifics. The intangibles and the tangibles. Intangibles is about individual attitudes. I translate into certain things or park and so coach, plus the system. So Morocco have a system strong. Then the coach understand the system. And again, look at the current Moroccan coach. He came from the conveyor belt of coaches or more giving in the time a friend is saying the past one went away. Walid Wagragi Koepe. Then they looked at the shoulder and said, okay, whenever you know coach if you are saying whenever never shame. It's seamless.
Okay.
Whatever you want to say about Paptia, but Paptia had won the AFCON, barring the issues that has come on after the AFCON incident. Where did Paptia come from? Paptia came from Senegal's Chan team. On your play with coach. Because these guys understand the dossier, they have the dossier. On your Juma system. It is high time government of Ghana put a policy of merging education properly with sports. I went to KNUST. I spent more than the 4 years over there because of other things. The way I'm a best boss, I want to talk about football. Why? It is because I have passion for the game. If there was a way to do my biochemistry undergrad and then add it to some football that I love, maybe after school I'd have seen a pathway to become a coach.
Okay.
Imagine the boys that are there with the intellects that they have, then loving of the game. They will not be scared to go through US. No, I coach or say. No, I mean because at the end of the day, I'm in a world-class university too in understanding.
Well,
I mean for real, man. And Sandy money you know put together, and I'm always successful as a nation when you want to play football. But Sandy money sacking Carlos Queiroz again today means that you can find another coach that will sack after 1 year. It's a waste of time.
And for me,
the most important thing is that Carlos Queiroz enter that team. No need the intangibles job.
Okay.
Because regardless of BBR, that was clear in the team. Everybody understood that they had to work hard. There were conversations around Brandon Thomas Asante SUPA when he wasn't supposed to go out. I don't see him don't know for the game, the next game, the discipline and strict nature, those things, we need somebody to embed it.
Okay.
And adding for, let me just end, and adding for just coach somebody passer by, someone need that top level CV to imbibe that into us. So for me, because of Saudi needs to know, allow Carlos Queiroz go and play the AFCON qualifiers. My name AFCON qualifiers. So if my name friend AFCON next year, then give him a very high KPI. She said winning of the AFCON. One year, that should be performance based on it. And no anything went to me and you let him go, then you bring a new coach in because a Jumano and just simple and straightforward. Send your money.
Okay, Kofi Meda Sepa, I know the by 11:45. Maybe my lines in the mom. Quick one, Joe. Carlos Queiroz, ne job, no. Yamana stay. Anas Yamanenko. Ubia for the path. Fifia for the Ababisia. Mamincho quick one na ye common.
Also, Gabi, the conversation we said the home common be brave in the coming weeks and the coming months. But I can agree a lot with what Mimpenny Austin Wood and also what Fifi has also said because they make very fantastic points. Adia, so you can realize that Ghana, no, we have not really lacked the structure in time past. Practicing in the past, but as a bedroom rebino. See you refuse, see a Jesse, say, I say, Uncrofona or Mabeji, Jumano say, or my giant some model now as a person may and where Jumano is. I don't know, it's something that we can look at. But that question of whether Queiroz must continue or not, no, idea I was here because I think that at this point, no, I was a GFA, no, it may be almost say, what is the direction of the Ghana football that we are looking at? What is the direction? What's the next direction after this World Cup? So, there was one thing I used to say very much, even before the World Cup started, say, Ghana, the BCBA or tournament, no, we need to take the feedback from it and prepare for the future. It is a plan your football the next 5 years. You winning AFCON, one of that. And in the next 2 years, we're going to be playing 2 AFCONs. You have AFCON 2027, you have AFCON 2028. So what is the direction of the GFA in terms of coaching? It is long term. Into your case, you training coaches for you raising new coaches and we local coaches are. Believe you me, it will take us some time to be able to do that. It's at this point we want to set a target for the next 2 years, the next 3 years, the next 5 years. Okay, what are the things we want to achieve? In TPC winning AFCON back now. Coach Ben Boyama yet may win AFCON. No. In TPC be say who say questions when you answer we are. Then we will come and look at okay, Queiroz. What you man odi ekoye World Cup no. Where we 4 months near the mao. Say you man where we. But looking at what we want to achieve, we want to re-engage you. If he's the one for the job, okay, Kuros, yebesa mo adwuma no in the next 1 or 2 years, boayen, dia odi akudu ye ewo World Cup no mu no, sa boayen. Nielsen keep that same performance, but let's also perfect other aspects of our game like the attacking. Because Gabi Uche Mutain, the strength of the Ghana team now is in the attack. Semenyomo and Brandon Thomas Asante Munina, they are the future of the team. And if you're not able to score goals, it is very chaotic. Say, we have a very good team, but we are not able to score goals. And that is the strength of the team. Let's build the team with that. And Carlos Quiroz, can you do that? I was here to me bisa no some questions no. Say on to me nya. That's okay. The obey and why we. Thank you very much. You can go. Now for GFNO, they will look to appoint a coach who can help us to be able to achieve this 5-year target. Then they'll be fixing the things that we have not done in the last few years. To improve our game. It improve the coaches. Let's get more coaches. Let's improve our game. Let's raise the young generation. Let them pass through the conveyor belt under 17, under 20, under 23, and get to the Black Stars. Because Gabi, the truth of the matter is that if we continue to do football the same way we have done it, we will not get any result from it. And don't forget, say, football as we see it now, it is causing socio-economic change for so many countries. Mauritania. At this point, Mauritania have a football project. Out of the 16 years, project, no, they have done 4 years, and after those 4 years, they have been at the AFCON once.
When you come away a stretch one pa na etina, you better say bit me at us na yetimi akwe ni mamemfa de aka mfa ma me college no na omonso man say community bank womo ana womo de Charles and Monday na the IND. Amansa Community Bank PLC. I say o person bank bi di juma eni omo eni nsawoso. Womo na ebo ama wetimi enya banking eye niema ni nyina ye current account susu account no ana fixed deposit account ni nyina omo ye ni nyina de aba. Eba ni susu eni loans ani nyina no womo be mo bi na no so etimi aboa na Ghana de ba bi bebre na ubenya amanse eye Community Bank PLC. Eno omo Nkomo ewa 02477 0247200 na wonso wetimenyo Amuzu Hair Food we person wutimi efua Amuzu Hair Food ana mekamfo edi amao ene wodwadi chemo ewa store bia ade okwa also pe Amuzu Hair Food wutimi no ebefu kama pa Dr. Amuzu SNN Nkomo 0242 955056 na wenya Dr. Amuzu na wonso etime abo ye pa na mamimbie lines no emfa emma eye me college no na wo monso emrem mesewa oba na wa ye ntietem se na ebe ya wunia nso ebetimi abaso bi na etimi aboa me first caller went me nyina so mama me foforo hello yes madam
Florence because Africa Bruno
Florence me bacho mami ntie we
me bacho prediction win ene de monya
yabe nyina prediction win into our frame boy.
That's right.
Okay, so I tilo hena mo munya yin mfama na yamfa nyina mfam preko. So okay, so Norway and England.
If I saw England best 2-1.
England best 2-1 and Argentina and Switzerland.
Argentina also best 2-1.
Okay, Medasepa, Mami, Mama Fufre, hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Nyami Adumo, Pacho, once within. Meso, Chon feel ready than answer Mama Fufro. My queen. Aha.
Your son Dixon.
Okay, Dixon Casafree. Okay, Miniam, I'm in Tioe.
England, 2-1.
England, we need 2-1.
And Argentina should be.
Argentina, we need saying.
And we should 2-1.
Okay, Meso, I need the Obana so if you didn't just say, Memo Mafa from me because I dare say, I swing to the Samoyan, sir, high pie, any demo. Hello,
the great Gabi Thuram.
Yes, sir.
Ana Kusukojoku.
Anane maminti o ya predictions and answer me
ya prediction na ba e dia me ba
Samuel
Yawinku
Argentina and Switzerland
we ni e kajuwa 2-0 for Argentina
Anna Norway in England.
Ebe 2-2.
Okay, mama me fofre. Men comment him hello.
We didn't see income as of your who are them.
Emos Bensa.
Portrait about papa, Madam Joanna, and some hapa, Media Papa, Wadawarma. Kotoko James, Yami, Papa. This is a Kotoko. I could be saying the place Benna is to say, do more Ebegina, you know, Mestre, or Moshe Shamayan, because I'm Pacific Satellite. And now, best games, I say, you who said, President for Mobayano, Mitinity, Ham, Rebecca, and Koya, my Yakofanaba, and to make something for. I want to tell you, Mamma, just now they are Jamo, so someone plays for Mobadia. They Jamo, but you could get back and some quality of supporters, and you are come aside and number of conkind, but that's it.
Okay, men so medase. Men comment him hello.
Hello, Gabi Thuram.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Pacho. We didn't baby akasa free.
What the Deputy Heba? About what you word with you as a particular person, all of Kakra, Ibutia, Midimijuma.
Okay.
The Baba Swapi, football, no, I say, yeah, the Sawana.
Obey and the Nina is Yeshia and so.
Cause you're there. I know, open the sitting now, see, just a Janu. I'm kind of football, Marcasa. She said, do me that I say, you came with ya. And the whole commerce football, sports,
okay.
You would have, but I would say,
okay. But I say, Yanfa predict and wins and to us. Hello,
Gabi.
Yes, sir.
Dankwe Midway.
Dankwe, Argentina and Switzerland.
Medini Cheba for Collins.
Cheba for Collins.
Argentina, Abese, Switzerland, 3-0.
Anna, England, Norway.
And England, Norway, England that qualify, Obese 2-1.
Okay. Medase, Mamin Coben, hello.
Hello, Gabi.
Esther Niana. Esther Argentina, England.
Gabi,
Argentina, Switzerland.
Gabi, I never hear me. And my son is in the beam.
And now we're near.
I don't want trading.
Okay.
Because
Blamandi, why?
Okay.
Blamandi.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I'm Pacho. Didn't maybe a casa free.
Frederick, I am Kosovo of Mankas Castle.
Okay, Minia, all call for predictions and
call for prediction.
Switzerland, Argentina.
Argentina 1, Switzerland 0.
Norway, England
0-0.
Okay. Chilo for Bayern no for Mami. Hello.
Yes,
sir. Robert.
Gabista.
Robert, sir. And no, so there na amfa.
Gabi Boko
pass no there na amfa.
No, me dey no. Okay, me jim ka dey no mo 2-1 dey e jela yan we go enim.
Okay, Argentina, Switzerland.
Penalty.
Gabi mpacho Mami correct score.
Argentina be free.
Mami correct score.
And Argentina 1.
England, Norway.
England, Norway. England versus about 2-1. England over qualify.
Okay, 2-1 for England. That's it.
Yeah, let me check Professor Joshua Labi.
Okay. My last one. Hello.
Hello.
But you didn't baby a free.
But I didn't James because I'm free.
Okay, James, Argentina, Switzerland.
But 2-0, Argentina.
Norway, England.
No, baby, 2-1.
Okay, but I say, K do gas and oven, Anna, so yasene, yet predict and win at the bro. K do say, open gas, Baba, gas oven, at the do Juma for any chilimu, Ewana catch it. Na gas and not dear air kama, I tell me to me, Abuamo, Juma, dear beer. Akos and no Anna K do Aquacofa at the Abba, or the gas stove at the Abba. You are there 3 banner or 4 banner, and a 2 banner, and so open short air standing ones. na wonso wonsa bɛka de school so do no restaurant ene bar hodo nyampacho gas stove no mom na megem de wo me de warmers enso aba na warmers ne de wo me aduane ene 6 in 1 5 in 1 4 in 1 what 3 in 1 enso de aba all types ni nyina benya bi e woda kate ana here smokers a de ade betoto tilapia catfish ana fe big ene medium ni nyina no ene enketwa ni nyina nke adu akwakofa e de aba soame ye ne police station no ana eboso ana fe aboso ye ne Desco gas and also ebo eso elho freke adu gas and oven I was 0243 365 873 na wa freke edu Mark Bowie biscuit and womu also as Mark Bowie butter biscuit and Mark Bowie with digestive biscuit womu so eso yasina yedi jumedi ne edawo my info so na yanso dem and Richard birthday you host any birthday Richard Smith Donko and kwabana birthday ntino we say kwabana happy birthday na host birthday Mr. Richardo
champion Richardo
yes Richardo
champion Richardo we dey
big birthday
champion Richardo
Nhyira no but no man's cabin say there be a obeti bibi nso di bi amaye was it what the my
Richardo
na me boss in the bi coffee say anything I say o ebi onya bi anything I say nyame nka no no onya bebre na ebi nso aso yeso ya bana woda pa happy birthday kwabna nyame nsha pa na onye wakoma so ade nyina enso eba coffee dia he na aka
ena Kelsey nemo manu ahwo ni so Frankie say
Frankie so di biato yo mate
ena Kelsey abena adoma owusu ansa birthday
okay
na we Frank Asao papa Derek owusu ansa oya adwuma ewo CBG Tafo branch oseme fin share from so me show happy birthday go pon shiraw no nkoso an onyo kese do sabe so bia erade emanenye kama enfama sansuna nana asantoa enso osokoban ene nana asantoa enso so birthday happy birthday to you nagopon shiraw no nkoso an onyo kese do sabe so bia erade emanenye kama emfa emana for last one international Amma Ellen and I am a superstar birthday. Happy birthday to Amma Ellen. Nagupon show. Nonko swana onyo kese. Dodo sabe sombia. Erade emanenye kama entimi emfa emau.
Benfa we emfa to say happy birthday eko edia maramsia ofowi neza. Ramsia ofowi neza ene eyewa wada wankasa oba nana akua ese yanwehye wa wada pa na yankancho se odoyo pa nyankopon hia na onye wakoma so ade nyina emfa ema awodam nhia bia nyame emfa ma ene dey Ramsia ofowi neza happy birthday another one eko edi amasera Sarah Senchira ene eyewa woda na uwotafo pankro no we everyone kasa sister Yvonne ana ose yemfa awoda pay emfa ema wati nyame nhia opa onye wakoma so ade nyina emfa ma awoda mu nhia bia nyame emfa ema na fe nyini na ye from pa na abusuansu nya ho emfa so pe Sarah Senchira happy birthday Kofi dia no akofa bay
na abosekemo ba na amubai die nyame adama 25th July ye kware Nyangaza International na richere maten ekwakware ayefo dondo na oni Dr. Jackson ampedu ochire nyame adama 25th July and upon on 9 am ewo atonsu bokro Pentecost Central eno chere ma amenyanko ya tu ensada fo bibia se nyame adama 25th July de obi amra esanse we no yesere amane ma amenyanko nsere atonsu bokro Pentecost mega some international you for don't know people now ready the suit am libe barrage na say
yeah that's it
yes
abusia ya de dwuma de nyina edi esi enum say moti Osinwood nka Osinwood ya time na ya ba no ma wo ye time na ye de ba insura no was wood